There goes Davis. Oh my God! Davis is going to run it all the way
Here
back.
comes pressure. Bortles sees it coming. Looking for Wharton in the end zone. Wharton behind the defense. Oh! Are you kidding?
Williams at the goal line. This is Trey Williams, number 3. 20, 25, cut back. And out to the 34-yard line. And Jesse, we're going to get our first look here at the young man from Southlake, Texas, Kenny Hill.
Brent, I had a chance to spend time with Kenny Hill this past Monday at practice watching film. Only a sophomore, he is very calm and very poised, and I believe that's the reason Kevin Sumlin named him the starting quarterback 12 days ago. They thought he gave them the best chance to survive this type of environment. We're about to find out pretty quickly here in this type of electric stadium atmosphere.
From behind quickly of Brandon Williams. He's number 1. He'll be the Aggie tailback to start the pistol formation. They're going to swing it. Williams with daylight on first down, out to the 40-yard line. This will be second and short.
And I love the play call, Brent, right out of the gate. Making his first start on the road. As a coach, you get him into a comfort zone. Easy completions to get him into the rhythm of the game.
Outstanding offensive line, folks, if you want to keep an eye on it. Several of the fellows will go to play Sunday football. They swing now again to Brandon Williams, and they've got their initial first down. They're putting it in the air to the flanks.
Yeah, and they're getting it into the hands of a running back in Brandon Williams, who's very good in space, and that's really the pressure this style of offense puts on a defense, forcing you to make tackles in the open field.
That hurry-up Kevin Sumlin offense that Johnny Manziel ran to perfection on so many afternoons and evenings. Giving him high percentage throws in his first start. Now looking downfield, down the middle, got a man, and out of bounds and incomplete. But they had Ricky Seals-Jones open.
They sure did, and even though Kenny Hill is a young quarterback, he likes to take shots downfield, and he's got a one-on-one opportunity, man-to-man coverage with a 6'5" wide receiver and Ricky Seals-Jones. He puts that ball inside a little bit more, maybe a little bit more air underneath it. That could have been a walk-in touchdown for Texas A&M.
Obuehi, number 70, is that huge left tackle for him. Now the pitch to Williams on the outside, picks his way down that near side to the 40-yard line as they barge into Gamecock territory.
And Brent, I think a big key in this game, and you just mentioned Texas A&M's offensive line. These might be the 2 best offensive lines in the SEC. Whoever dominates at the point of attack along the line of scrimmage in this game could come out here to win it.
Let's see what Young Hill does. His first third down of the season. And as a starter for the Aggies. Play action, roll to the right and throw for it. Did he get it? Yes, because of a great second effort by Cameron Clear going to the tight end. Now, Aggie fans have not seen the tight end very active. Johnny Manziel always was looking for Evans now.
You're right, Brent. It's going to be a bit of a new look offense this year. They want to get Cameron Clear more involved. He's a rare combination of size and speed at 6'6", 277. You see an early completion, moving the chains on a critical third down.
A very important defensive player is on the field. Sky Moore did not start. Little disciplinary treatment on the part of the coaches, but he could be a difference maker. First down and 10. Backfield is empty. Fire to that near side and another completion. Now let's talk about Kenny Hill here. Came out of South Lake Carroll, one of the great powers in Texas high school football. Jesse, his dad, Ken Hill, pitched 14 seasons in the big leagues. He was an all-star for the '94 Cardinals, where he went 16-5 that season.
The genes carried through because he's got tremendous arm talent and accurate. And so far, Brent, I'm impressed. We talked about that poise, understanding where to go with the football, doing a great job with his reads and checks.
He now has Trey Carson in for this 2nd and 8. This is Carson behind the right side, and he is jumped by Jordan Diggs, number 42 from Fort Myers, Florida.
The strength of South Carolina's defense is at linebacker this year. They've got 4 guys that can fly sideline to sideline. Now, another critical third down. Cameron Clear at the top of the screen in the slot. Of course, made the catch earlier in the drive.
Noise. Middle. Beautiful toss. Touchdown. Aggies score on their first drive. Ricky Seals-Jones, and the underdog comes out barking with a 23-yard touchdown.
In case you were wondering if this environment was going to be too big for the sophomore quarterback, he just strolls in and leads this team right down the field on an impressive drive. And again, doing a great job with his reads and progressions, finding Ricky Seals-Jones over the middle of the field. And that ball's across the plane before his knee touches. That's good. That is an impressive opening drive for this Texas A&M offense that a lot of people had question marks about without Johnny Manziel, Mike Evans, Jake Matthews, etc. this year.
The previous ruling of a touchdown is under further review.
That's our fine referee from the SEC. That is Matt Austin. And upstairs, another excellent official, our replay official, Ben Oldham, will take a look at that. So let us take a look. And you at home, you also be the judge as you see him dive. Did he get across with the ball? Did he break the plane before the knee is down?
Ooh, now, of course, the ball, just a piece of the ball has to break the plane in order for this to be a touchdown. The question is, where is his knee? Right now, to me, it looks like both knees are up. That's pretty definitive to me, Brent. You need conclusive video evidence in order to overturn that. That's pretty conclusive to me. That's going to be a score. And that's a big statement, no doubt. And how about that, Brent? A lot of people had question marks about this offense, whether or not they could start fast. And take another look at this right here, where that knee goes down. It looks to me like maybe the elbow even touches first, but at that point, the football's already across the plane.
They may turn this over on that last look, Jeff. Watch the left knee. Watch the far side knee.
Oh, yeah, it's down right there. You're right. Before the ball across. That's a good eye, Brent.
No. That's a good producer. That was Scott Matthews. Oh, no. I'm giving him full credit.
Both of you guys doing a good job. Kevin Sumlin certainly will anticipate this getting overturned. He will talk to his coaches upstairs. They need to get a goal line plan ready.
After review, the runner was down short of the goal line. It'll be first and goal at the 1.
Now, you would think they'd be able to power in, but it gave that defense a little time to regroup over here. They're back on their heels against this freshman quarterback.
No doubt about it. But, again, you mentioned the offensive line for Texas A&M, and I got to think, with guys like Cedric Ogbuehi, a potential future top 10 pick, playing a left tackle, some big bodies up front. They've got some big running backs in this backfield as well. Trey Carson lining up at 235 pounds, built for this type of scenario.
Harrison, Matthews, Cheek, and if any, Jordan Ogbuehi up front. Oh boy, he's on the left side. He's number 70. They're going in that direction, and now they've got it. Trey Carson just kind of stepped over behind Harrison and Obuehi. Mike Matthews from the famous football family right there in the center. You got a good look at that offensive surge from that line.
We've talked about how disruptive this crowd can be. How big is that to march down the field, score on your opening drive, grab confidence, but also quiet this crowd down and take the energy out of the stadium? That's a big-time statement drive right out of the gate for Texas A&M.
Josh Lambo from Middleton, Wisconsin, tacks on the extra point. What a way to start on the road, huh, folks? South Carolina with a little bit of air out of the crowd.
Yeah, it really kind of feels like the juice. There's a little bit of juice missing right now from this atmosphere. It's really incumbent upon Dylan Thompson and this offense now to come back on the field with their hair on fire, ready to roll.
Taylor Bertolette will kick it away. Carson from the goal line. 15 and stopped short of the 20. Who are these Aggies anyway? And out comes Dylan Thompson.
Here's a guy, a fifth-year senior, waited his turn behind Connor Shaw. Now, fifth year in the system. He's played in some big games at South Carolina, won some big games, but he's got a lot of physical ability. Not just throwing the football, he can run the football too. I think without a doubt, he's good enough to lead South Carolina to their first ever SEC championship.
First, he's got to lead him to the season's first touchdown.
He does, sir.
And Brandon Wiles will start. Mike Davis is being held out just a little bit. Coach's decision wants him to be just a touch more focused on the season ahead. So number 22, Wiles, is in that backfield alongside Thompson, who's going to put it up on first down. He too had great time and throws incomplete high for Farrell Cooper. Thompson saying that's my fault.
Yeah, the one thing I want to see out of Dylan Thompson, Brent, is consistent accuracy throughout the course of a game. I've gone back and I've watched a lot of tape. He makes a lot of big throws, but he tends to sometimes miss throws that he's good enough to make. So in this game, with a running back like Mike Davis that's going to be lining up beside him, when he's got the one-on-one opportunities, he's got to be able to connect.
Again, right down the middle, and this time for a great hit in that secondary, incomplete, and that'll bring up a 3rd and 10. Armani Watts, a freshman, unloads.
See Dylan Thompson trying to take a shot over the middle of the field. He's got Farrell Cooper on a post. It's a perfect throw. Cooper lets it get into his body instead of plucking the football with his hands. And how about that true freshman safety? Armani Watts there to blow the play up.
Yes, sir. 3rd down and 10. Left side, incomplete. It is 3 and out, but there's a penalty flag. Penalty flag on it. So this would appear to give an automatic first down, looking at the officiating crew. Everett, the defender.
Pass interference. Defense number 29. Ball will be placed at the spot of the foul. Automatic first down.
On 3rd down, Dylan Thompson was trying to work the boundary against DeShazer Everett, who's a big body cornerback at 6 feet tall with long arms, trying to go to Shaq Rowan. There's a lot of contact there. It almost looked to me like DeShazer Everett almost with his left hand kind of made contact with the left shoulder there. Shaq Rowan, easy call for the field judge, giving them an automatic first down.
First running play, and Wilds is stopped by the right side, and of course for Aggie fans, that's the big question this year. Can they tackle with the front?
Without a doubt, the weakness of this team a year ago was its defensive line. They were the worst run defense in the SEC, and a big problem was yards after contact. And they've got a lot of young bodies rotating through the front seven this season, but it'll be key tonight, and they've got opportunities to make tackles. You got to get them down early. They can't let these runners and ball carriers get into the second level.
2nd and 8, and again, nothing doing. You know, there is a question about the Gamecocks offensive line. It's been overlooked a little bit, but Mike Matulis was going to start at right guard, and Cody Waldrop was going to start at center. Waldrop has moved over because of the injury. Clayton Stadnick, a little undersized, has got to handle the nose man in the middle of this offense. There is number 54. He must do a job, and it's 3rd and 9. Deflected, incomplete. No flags this time, and they will be forced to punt.
You got to feel good if you're defensive coordinator Mark Snyder and Texas A&M. Your defense got beat up on the field last year. They were beat up in the headlines this past offseason. But having almost forced a 3-and-out, had it not been for a pass interference penalty, and all of a sudden now getting South Carolina off the field early, there should be a lot of confidence flowing on that Texas A&M sideline right now when you consider the way the offense and defense have started.
Another look, Jesse, and Speedy Noel, one of the highest recruited wide receivers in the country, back to return this punt, which is a good one. Speedy said, let's go. Breakout speed for the Aggies. There's a penalty flag thrown. There are flags. Noel got to the 37 out of the state of Louisiana. And the Aggies, as part of the SEC, with that great new facility they're putting up, they barged in under Les Miles Knowles and took this young man from New Orleans.
Now, Brent, I have a feeling he's going to become a household name here, not just in the SEC, but around the country very soon. That flag was thrown in the area. You'd expect there to be a block in the back.
During the return, illegal block in the back, 36 of the receiving team. 10-yard penalty from the spot of the foul. First down. Timeout.
We'll take a break. The Aggies with a 7-point lead in the football when you come back to Columbia.
Mistake about it, there was a sense of urgency leading into this game because of the magnitude of it, but his guys came out poised and ready to play.
Now let's see what the sophomore Kenny Hill can do. He was 4 of 5 for 49 yards on that opening drive. Carson, the running back, braced to daylight out to the 25-yard line. A gaping hole again opened by the Aggie offensive line.
The biggest question mark for South Carolina entering the season in my eyes was a defensive line where they lost 3 starters, including Jadeveon Clowney. So here's this Texas A&M offensive line now taking over in the run game.
Trey Williams checks in. 3 outstanding tailbacks, and he motions out to the right. Hill laterals it forward. A dangerous pitch by the young quarterback, but it was successful, and he saved a little bit of a loss.
Yeah. You know, Kenny Hill is not Johnny Manziel. He does not want to scramble to run. He wants to scramble to throw. Now, ball security obviously going to be huge. You can't make dumb mistakes on the road in this kind of environment. A&M gets lucky, gets away with one man.
Second down and 9. Had time, looking for a receiver. Now on the move, throws beautifully to that sideline, and Josh Reynolds. Reynolds out of Tyler Junior College, and I got to tell you, that was a beautiful throw by a young quarterback.
And there's an example right there, Brent. Johnny Manziel takes off with that football and goes running. He might take it to the house, but Kenny Hill's a little bit different, working through his progressions, keeping the offense in rhythm and on schedule.
And on first down, Hill breaks away from pressure. Fires open man, incomplete, and he was forcing Seals-Jones to turn on the throw. But just what you said, Manziel would have kept it and taken off.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, that's another bare miss by Kenny Hill trying to target his 6'5" wide receiver. I got to be honest, in the big picture, Brent, watching this offense, I'm just impressed with his poise. First receiver not there, able to avoid the rush, keeps his feet. Now, if he just leads this ball a little bit more outside, that's a big completion. Their next play's in the red zone.
You know how hard it is to teach a youngster when you're on the move like that. Keep looking downfield. And they come back now with the running game, and Williams is going to get pushed out of bounds on that far side over there. A little bit slow to getting up. That's Chris Moody, a safety for the Gamecocks. You know, they're a little bit thin back there.
Yeah, they are, Brent. One thing I think we need to keep our eye on is the tempo of this Texas A&M offense and how that wears on South Carolina defensively. They like to play fast. They get line up and they go. I know it's always hot in South Carolina, but the conditioning of this South Carolina defense, I really think is going to get tested. You remember last year when South Carolina opened up with UNC, North Carolina here. Remember, they were going tempo. Jadeveon Clowney was cramping up, had some issues. Remember, a lot of question marks on defense for South Carolina. You know, the depth is going to get tested up front and back in that back end.
Maria Taylor, what do you see with the Gamecock defense down below?
Well, actually, Deke Adams, when the defense came back off after the first drive for Texas A&M, he said, we have to dictate the tempo. He was really concerned. He said, I told you guys it was going to be fast. We're going to have to slow them down in order for us to get some pressure up front. JT Surratt came off and said, Coach, we're not generating any pressure, but the main focus of the entire huddle was really tempo, guys.
You know, and speaking of fast, I'm very impressed Texas A&M offensively was able to start fast. That's something they always did with Johnny Manziel, quarterback. You know, in 23 of the 26 games he played, they scored first in the game. Nothing's changed here. New sophomore quarterback. You don't got Mike Evans. Jake Matthews, the sixth pick of the draft, is off playing in Atlanta, but all's well so far. With Texas A&M now coming up a big third down, 3rd and 1. We haven't seen a lot of these situations yet for Kenny Hill in this game.
TJ Gurley checks in at safety. He replaces the injured Moody, who walked off to the sideline. 3rd down and 7.
South Carolina needs a pass rush here.
Bring pressure. And Hill is forced to move out of it, and he's got the first down the sideline. An outstanding run by Kenny Hill for the first down.
So Lorenzo Ward, the defensive coordinator of South Carolina, decides finally to dial it up. You're going to see pressure coming from the left side of the screen. Kenny Hill again poised, eyes downfield, nothing there. He's got the athleticism to extend plays. Again, not Johnny Manziel-esque, but certainly good enough. And that is a huge 3rd down conversion to help keep momentum on the side of the Aggies.
Brandon Williams in as the running back a play ago. And he pounds just to the 40-yard line, it looks like, where Jordan Diggs made the stop. Now remember, Kenny Hill had to beat out one of the most ballyhooed prospects in the country, Kyle Allen, a 5-star recruit from Scottsdale, Arizona. And we were told by the coaches that it was very, very close. And we see one of the Aggies down right now. But that quarterback competition went right down to the last week.
Brent, when I watched them practice Monday, there's no real difference. There's Kyle Allen. He was the #1 rated high school prospect coming out. They had a great competition this year in camp. I really believe if Texas A&M tonight was playing Lamar or Rice, I really think you'd see Kyle Allen in tonight's game. I think it'd be about 50-50. But again, going back to the poise of Kenny Hill, having played in a similar system in high school at South Lake Carroll, having played a year backing up Johnny Manziel, better equipped to handle this situation, and that's why he got the nod.
You know, it's the bottom of the hour, and some folks are just coming off work around the country, especially here in the East and in the Midwest. And if you missed it, there's your story. There's your headline. Kenny Hill took the Aggies down for a touchdown on their first drive of the game. And he has Texas A&M leading South Carolina in an SEC conference opener on the SEC network, 7-0. Second and 7. Pocket. Beautiful. Sabian Holmes still dancing. gave up a yard or so when he came backwards a little bit, but again, right on the money.
We heard Maria mention a moment ago that they're not getting pressure on Kenny Hill. This time he had a tremendous pocket and an opportunity to glance the field. That's a nice job by Holmes finding the soft spot in the zone. And Kenny Hill, time to throw, throwing another and delivering a strike.
Kevin Sumlin's offense, moving the ball. What else is new? Hill, great protection, complete to the 20-yard line. Just across it. Bryson Williams makes the stop for the Gamecocks. You go back to Kevin Sumlin, and he actually was an insurance man for a year, and he just couldn't stand life behind a desk. Mike Price out of Washington State gave him a chance to come to Pullman, graduate assistant out there. They put him in charge of the freshman team, and the coaches said, we got a quarterback named Drew Bledsoe. If he gets hurt, you'll never coach again.
Drew Bledsoe obviously staying healthy, huh?
Yeah, he did.
All right.
Carson, the running back, and now they check over. Someone got a look at the defensive set, and there's going to be a timeout. You could see that Kevin was walking down the field. He wanted to call this timeout here with 5:41 to go in the first. Texas A&M need to reach about the 13-yard line for a first down, and you talk about an impressive offensive line early for a first game starter. It's the Aggies running, and that is Carson, the transfer from Oregon. And so here you come. Now, Kenny Hill is 3 of 3 on third downs. Here comes his 4th third down, Jesse.
South Carolina's had a hard time keeping him in the pocket, and when he's been able to get out of the pocket, he's hurt them throwing it and running it. So you've got to be thinking, contain Kenny Hill on this critical third down.
Carson, the swing look, came back the other way, and incomplete. Speedy Noel was the intended target on that. And that'll bring up 4th down. I would assume we're going to see a field goal try here. Josh Lambo drops out. Hunter Drew Kaiser, who was outstanding, will be the holder. This is a 33-yarder for a 10-point lead in the first quarter on the road. Spurrier and the Gamecocks. A lot of questions. They need to come up with some answers. When you
playing in the SEC, of course, a defensive league, a line of scrimmage league, seems like it'd be a good fit for Derek Mason. Opportunity. See the Commodores get off to a start tonight.
Sean Carson, 3 yards deep. Now he'll take a knee after the bobble. When you know, you go back, Jesse, and you take a look at Steve Spurrier's career. Now, he's got the nation's longest home winning streak at 18. He's only lost 1 opening day game, and guess what? It's when he was at Duke, and guess who beat him? South Carolina.
South Carolina, you're right. And I think that is kind of what makes what we're seeing right now all that more impressive for Texas A&M, considering how good Steve Spurrier's been in home openers. The record, the home record, consecutive win streak he has here, it's pretty remarkable. Now, in fairness, a lot of football left. We got 5 minutes to go in the first quarter.
Big roar from the crowd because number 28 has stepped into the lineup. Mike Davis barges out of the doghouse, if you will. With the Gamecocks down by 10, they need their big man to take over here. And that was the best burst on a running play here tonight, just short of the 30-yard line by Mike Davis. You might remember his brother James. He was a standout at Clemson. Remember James? He was thunder, and C.J. Spiller was lightning. And they say that Mike Davis got a little bit of both now.
No, he's a violent runner, but I think what makes him special for his size is the speed.
Third down.
Texas A&M, to me, is playing with a confidence and a swagger early in this game that I never saw at one point last year, Brent. And they're subbing guys on. Guys are excited. This is a defense I really believe had a massive chip on their shoulder coming into this year. They knew they had a chance tonight to make a statement against the team that a lot of people picked to win the SEC East. And right now, this A&M defense, they look pretty impressive.
Third down. Down the middle, deep. Got it. 15, 10, touchdown. Nick Jones, the senior from Moore, South Carolina, on a third down, 69 yards. That's more relief than joy on the faces of this crowd. Things had not gone well until that play. Elliott Fry from Frisco, Texas, makes it a 10-7 game. Here comes that crowd again.
This is a tremendous throw under duress by Dylan Thompson. You're going to see the outstanding true freshman, number 15 here at the bottom of the line. He's going to beat the right tackle and get in his face. This is a throw, staring down the barrel. And there's Nick Jones with tremendous speed, beating a much bigger, much slower DeShazer Everett to the post. That's the answer South Carolina needed. And all of a sudden, Brent, kind of feel that energy back in this stadium again?
Absolutely.
It's got to demonstrate itself. Again, there's a reason they've won 34 of the last 37 games here, but that was a huge play, an explosive play. Get Dylan Thompson this offense back in the flow.
There's no passion like the Southeastern Conference. Ard will kick it away. Noel and Williams are back deep. Williams going to take a knee, and there's the freshman over there telling him not to come out. Now, Mr. Palmer, we're going to see what Kenny Hill is going to do again, and more importantly, we're going to see if that touchdown picked up the Gamecock defense.
No doubt about it, Brent. There is, without question, a sense that this defense now has to get a stop. They've given up 10 points on the first two drives. They need to pick up the pressure. They need to start getting in the backfield and creating penetration. The defense was never a question mark any year under Steve Spurrier's era at South Carolina, and right now they need to stand up and make some plays.
Trey Carson motions out to the top of your screen. Hill again. This is Speedy Noel to the 40-yard line, and a first down on that opening salvo. I'll tell you what, you would think that Kenny Hill has started at quarterback for 2 or 3 years watching this young man here tonight. Screen to Noel, and he's just tripped up. What a great tackle that was outside. They did not let that speed. Burnham, number 9, did a great job over there. Go lightly. This is third. Make it second. Let me correct myself. This is second. Thrown for his first loss. Sacked by Gerald Dixon. They are alive.
Look to me on that play, Brent, there may have been a little miscommunication between quarterback Kenny Hill and his true freshman wide receiver, Speedy Noel. It looked like he wanted to come to the bottom of the screen and get this ball out quick. Speedy Noel running a slant. It wasn't there. But Dixon, the quarterback, got his hands on it. He 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 And there's a pass rush. There's Gerald Dixon getting in the backfield now, creating 3rd and California. Much more manageable now. And listen to that crowd.
Tough 3rd down. They run the draw play. This is Trey Williams, and Trey almost got the 1st down. Got a lot of it back before they punt.
That's a win for South Carolina. If, in fact, Texas A&M is going to punt this football away. It was a great job there by Texas A&M getting a lot of that yardage back to help out the field position battle. But you can kind of sense now the momentum again shifting back in favor of South Carolina.
Our first look at Drew Kaiser as a punter. One of the best. Anytime you can say somebody broke Shane Leckler's punting records at Texas A&M, folks, you're looking at a good one. Took that step and tried to knock it out of bounds. Took a bounce. There is a penalty flag. There is a penalty flag thrown back by the line of scrimmage.
Illegal motion, offense number 5. That 5-yard penalty be tacked on to the touchback. 1st down.
Let's check in down below now with Maria.
Yeah, guys, I talked to Connor Shaw before this game, and he still talks to Dylan Thompson all the time. It's not going to be easy for him to replace Shaw, who is the winningest quarterback in South Carolina history, but he says that he did tell Dylan that you don't have to be Connor Shaw. You can just be Dylan Thompson, and that's going to be more than enough. And he says he's excited to watch him grow into his own and take calculated risks because he knows he's a fearless quarterback, guys.
Yeah, and Shaw will have to record tonight's game, because this is when the scrubs get a chance to show their stuff. He, of course, is with Cleveland, the NFL teams, their last preseason game. Davis, big difference when Davis attacks.
I think Mike Davis is the best running back in the country that nobody talks about a lot outside of the SEC. We talked about him earlier. 5'9", 225, so he's a load. He's a violent runner, but I think what separates him is the speed. He's got the home run hitting ability, which I think is different than when they had Marcus Lattimore here earlier, who's, of course, beloved here at South Carolina. He has the ability to go the distance every time he touches the football, and that's what makes him, I think, in this offense so dangerous.
2nd down, a lot more manageable when you got a running game. And that time the tight end, that's Rory Anderson, one of the preferred targets.
One thing South Carolina does not have this year is a lot of size at wide receiver. A lot of small guys like Demir Bird and Nick Jones who just caught the post for a touchdown. So they've got 2 very good tight ends, bigger bodies that need to make plays.
Quick snap. Give it back to Davis, who gets to the 40-yard line. Picks up about 3, and that was Master Giovanni. Jordan. Master Giovanni.
Yeah, true sophomore.
Love that name.
Yeah,
Master Giovanni.
Great. I changed his number from last year. Now wearing number 7. Very slimming number, I think. Of course, I wore that in college.
Yes,
looks
that
good,
was
right? Like,
Danny Werfel.
Yeah, you did. You did, yeah.
Here we go. Big hole up the middle. Barging for the 1st down. Mike Davis comes in and changes the tone of the South Carolina offense.
I think it's the best offensive line Steve Spurrier's had in his tenure here at South Carolina. Right now, they're getting some push up front.
Davis again into the middle, and he was stopped by the Aggies. Jay Arnold, one of the defensive tackles there, number 96, was in on that stop. But we're coming down to the last snap here of the... No, we won't even have it. We'll come to the end of the 1st quarter. The Aggies jump out to a 10-point lead. South Carolina strikes back. It's 10 back to the first of 45 SEC games on the SEC network. And you know, for some unique second screen cup, grab your tablet, laptop, or phone and check out our dedicated Skycam feed, available only on SEC Network Plus, or watch ESPN, the digital home to over 550 exclusive SEC events annually. 2nd down and 10. will be coming up here for the Gamecocks. Mentioned that offensive line, Jesse. A.J. Can, number 50, that left guard, one of the best in the country, and Brandon Wiles.
Big back, 6'2", 225, replaces Mike Davis. This says that they can be a physical offense.
Going to throw it on first down. That middle screen and nothing doing. It will now be third down and long. Rory Anderson was the intended target.
So here's the third and long situation. Obvious passing situation. Last year, Texas A&M had 0 pass rush. So Kevin Sumlin goes out and he brings in 4 stud true freshmen, none bigger than number 15, Myles Garrett. He was the number 1 ranked defensive end prospect in high school. You saw him earlier in the game. He's already had a pressure. I went and watched him practice on Monday, Brent. The guy's a freak show. It's 6'5", 255. He's lined up now at the bottom of the screen working against left tackle Corey Robinson.
Gets a little bit outside Corey. Corey also very good. You can see that drop left foot trying to pick up the youngster now in that battle one-on-one. Now he tries to move inside. He does force Thompson to move out of the pocket. Did his job. Stays on the move. And Garrett blows it up. Good call, partner. You saw Garrett was down at the bottom.
And there you can see the explosive nature. For a big, lean athlete, he's long and he can bend. And he's got explosion out of his stance. Kevin Sumlin told me he's one of the strongest players on the field. You see him working here, splits a double team, and then keeps the motor running, get Dylan Thompson pressured off balance and out of bounds. You've heard comparisons to Jadeveon Clowney, and I know that's really big, but he could have a major impact on this defense this year, increasing the pass rush.
Speedy Noel is going to signal for the fair catch. You know, I've seen a couple of things with that young man. He understands the game. Told his teammate to sit down in the end zone. Wanted to make that fair catch right away. He knew the punt was up high enough in the air, so it was very good. And Jesse, the college football season continues on the SEC Network. Saturday triple-header, first at noon, Tennessee Martin taking on Kentucky. Then at 4, you and I will have Arkansas taking on Auburn. And at 7:30, Southern Miss and Mississippi State, Saturday only on the SEC Network.
And I can't wait to watch Auburn versus Arkansas, contrast of styles. A lot of people wonder, Brent, if Auburn can repeat as SEC champions. I think the key is quarterback Nick Marshall. If he can become a better passer, provide more balance to that offense, I think their defense is underrated. Watch out.
Williams gets the carry on first down and barges 11 yards. That's Trey Williams, number 3. He's out of Spring, Texas. And we note that Al Harris Jr., a very ballyhooed freshman who started this game in that secondary, he has been replaced by Rico McWilliams on that corner. So they've gone with the redshirt sophomore right now. And the target that time was Malcolm Kennedy making the reception, and we check in down below with Kaylee.
Brent, a couple series ago, Cameron Clear left the field. Trainers have been checking out his left ankle. They've taped and retaped it. Now he's on the bike. He's yet to rejoin these offensive huddles. We don't know when we'll see him back on the field.
First down here. Thank you, Kaylee. And they flash it to Malcolm Kennedy, one of the co-captains, very outstanding young man, and he is one of the leading receivers.
Yeah, you know, and to touch back on what Kaylee just said, that's a big loss if he can't come back in the game. We had mentioned they want to use the tight end more in this year's offense, running the ball more conventionally with running backs. In years past, Johnny Manziel didn't like the tight end. He wanted to spread the field with receivers. Cameron Clear not being in this game hurts this offense.
Complete. Seals Jones, whom the coaches went up to before the offense came on the field and said, "Are you ready for this?" And there he was.
Hey, great play call by offensive coordinator Jake Spavital. A little wrinkled. They faked the quick screen outside to Malcolm Kennedy. Right here, pump fake, and that opens up the big, tall receiver over the middle field, where he's done all his damage tonight.
Hill is 13 of 16.
How about that? Wow.
13 of 16.
This reminds me of Jameis Winston last year in that opening game against Pitt. Remember that? The ball didn't touch the ground.
And, of course, I saw Manziel's opening game against the Gators. He dazzled them for the first half. Another first down, and that's Edward Pope, number 18.
You know, they lost 3 starting receivers last year, and people wonder if there was question marks. We've seen Kenny Hill spread the football around. Malcolm Kennedy, Josh Reynolds, Speedy Noel, Ricky Seals-Jones. There are weapons still abundant on this Texas A&M offense outside.
Williams reaches to the 14, back now in that red zone, and Kenny Hill, 6'1", 215, his first start, and it has been impressive. Coach has told you that the father comes to a lot of the practices.
Yeah,
right?
no doubt. Yeah, he throws like his dad. Throwing strikes all over the place, just like Daddy did. Look at Kevin Sumlin getting all jacked up, fired up. He's got to love the way his teams look, especially on offense, as you keep saying, Brent, his sophomore quarterback.
Steve Spurrier
Set up on third down, but as he's grown in confidence, he's earned the confidence of play caller Jake Spavital. You're seeing more throws now deep down the field and over the middle of the field is where they seem to be doing a lot of their damage. South Carolina must find a way to get pressure, get hands in his face, because these passing windows are just way too big right now for the sophomore quarterback.
Second down, Hill got him on the slant. And that's a first down around that 5-yard line. And again, it is Malcolm Kennedy on this drive.
These wide receivers right now are going to see man-to-man coverage. Kenny Hill can look out and find his best matchup in this area of the field.
They're going to throw on first down. Hill takes off, still looking for receiver. Fires, deflected, incomplete. Great play by T.J. Gurley.
And that's a throw Kenny Hill needs to be careful with. Rolling out to your right, throwing it back across your body, especially in this area of the field. He's going to learn very quickly. Points are at a premium. He wanted to work left of speed and all. That's a dangerous throw. It's behind the receiver. That could have been picked off by T.J. Gurley. That's a great play defensively. Now setting up a massive third down. Sorry, second down.
Touchdown, Aggies. Ricky Seals-Jones. Well, Kaylee told us from down below through the truck that the coaches had gone to him and said, "Are you ready on this drive?"
Yeah.
They had his number in mind all along.
They're looking for him. I'll tell you what, as a quarterback, when you've got a wide receiver that's 6'5", it's very easy to find them, especially over the middle of the field. He's basically a more athletic, faster tight end.
There's trouble in the Gamecocks secondary. You know, all of the experts and all of the talk and all of the folks who thought they had the answers, then you play the game.
Last season and missed most of the year, but without a doubt, huge talent on this offense. And right now, Kenny Hill's looking for him early and often until South Carolina finds a way to either jam him at the line of scrimmage, disrupt his timing. He's having a field day on the South Carolina defense.
Bertolet kicks it away, and this one from the 5-yard line. One of the blockers dropped back, and the ball is brought across the 25-yard line. That's Darius Pauk who did it. And a reminder, coverage of college football continues Sunday at 7. Utah State travels to Volunteer Country. They'll take on Tennessee. First game of the season only on the SEC Network. The game also available live on Watch ESPN.
Butch Jones at Tennessee has done an unbelievable job recruiting. I think they're very talented, but I'm shocked that they're not the youngest team right now in all of college football. And if you forgot the name Chucky Keaton, watch out. This is a guy, one of the best dual-threat quarterbacks in the country. Tennessee's going to be scratching and clawing to come away with that win.
We welcome those of you who just joined us on the SEC Network with Jesse Palmer. I'm Brett Musburger. The Aggies are shocking South Carolina. They led by 10 points, and now Steve Spurrier goes to the Wildcat for the first time, and Cooper will hand it off to Demir Bird. He's handling the ball. So Steve Spurrier, trying to change the tempo here just a little bit, goes to the Wildcat for the first time. Dylan Thompson had taken every snap as the Gamecock quarterback until that play. And of course, the headline in this game is Kenny Hill starting his first game for the Aggies. He's almost thrown for a couple hundred yards here in the first half. Brandon Wiles alongside Thompson on a cutback. And he stopped short of the 40. And I have to wonder a little bit about Mike Davis's injury situation.
Well, he didn't come into this game 100%, Brian. Of course, he had the rib. He had a bit of a hamstring problem earlier in training camp as well. No matter what, it's important. Obviously, South Carolina wants to get on the board, but this offense needs to prolong a drive. They've got to stay on the field, convert some third downs, and give their defense a chance to get a rest. The tempo of Texas A&M on offense, I think, has really had an effect early in this game.
Davis seemed all right. Helmet off, walking there on the sideline. Wilds swinging over to the left. Not much doing.
But I think, too, a problem with Mike Davis a year ago, he wore down. They gave him the football 203 times. And late in the year, ran into some injury issues. I think they feel like they have a very deep backfield. Brandon Wild, Sean Carson, a very talented freshman in David Williams. I think they want to divide the carries a little bit to give Mike Davis an opportunity to be fresh through 12 regular season games.
And look who's back.
Hey, there he is, on cue.
Complete for the first down, and that's Cheryl Adams, the tight end.
Two excellent tight ends and excellent targets for Dylan Thompson to throw to. There are not many teams in the country to have these type of athletes like Rory Anderson and Jarrell Adams, and a lot like Ricky Seals-Jones from Texas A&M. These big bodies can do their work over the middle of the field.
Thompson on first down, high and incomplete. Anderson could not grab it. Howard Matthews was there with coverage for the Aggies. You know, the other story that we're overlooking because of the magnificent performance by Kenny Hill, Aggie defense.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Playing with their hair on fire, playing with something to prove. And I've already seen improved play up front on the defensive line. Guys getting more push. They've got better depth this year in the defensive line, and that's going to pay dividends in what's become a line of scrimmage league in the SEC.
Going deep, wide open, touchdown! Demir Bird walks in as he breaks free, and the Gamecocks are right back in the thick of it. A 46-yard bomb. Elliott Fry, and it's a field goal game again. We may have a few points here tonight.
Hey, it's a great way to start this season, isn't it?
He broke one. Head ball coach dials up another long scoring play. Arndt kicks it away. Jesse, let's take another look at that strike.
Yeah, Texas A&M's played well up front. They've had some busts in coverage. You see here Demir Bird just going to run a seam route right down the middle of the field past number 29, cornerback DeShazer Everett. You take another look at it, you'll see on the left side of the screen, DeShazer Everett, a corner. He needs to be playing in the deep third of that defense. I think he thought he had coverage help over the top. It's a bust. It leads to an explosive play. You can't allow number 1 Demir Bird to run right by you. He's the fastest player on South Carolina's offense. We've seen DeShazer Everett now give up 2 touchdowns in this game.
Al Harris, whose daddy played 14 years in the NFL as an assistant of the Kansas City Chiefs, is back. He's the cornerback at the bottom of your screen. He's number 31, playing well off the receiver. Ken Hill comes underneath on that side to Kennedy. this offense of Kevin Sumlin, when you think about both these coaches, and you were down in Florida with the fun and gun was going hard. And I mean, Steve changed the passing game. But now, the no-huddle Kevin Sumlin look, let's move fast, let's get a lot of snaps, and here they come again. Short of the first down because of J.T. Surratt.
I think, Brent, a lot of credit has to go to Jake Spavital, the offensive coordinator, who's really become kind of a master of this air raid offense and who's coached some excellent quarterbacks. He's obviously done great work with Kenny Hill.
On third down, the Aggies try to run for it. Great effort by Brandon Williams, the transfer from Oklahoma.
It's a play if you're South Carolina defensively. You need to bring Williams to the ground. This is one of those slow developing stretch plays running east-west. You'll see multiple Gamecocks with an opportunity. 1, 2 by Darius English. Finally, there's Phil, but it's just too late. Missed tackles leading to this first down by Texas A&M.
High and complete to the 45, and Seals Jones again.
There's no answer right now on defense for Ricky Seals Jones. All the damage he's done has been in the middle of the field. Until they get a pass rush, until they can get a body on him, or they're going to have to start playing with a robber in the middle of the field to take Ricky Seals Jones away. And that tempo, Brent, you see another South Carolina Gamecock down on the ground.
That's Bryson Williams. He's the senior.
And that's a guy they can't afford to lose.
Exactly. He's one of your veterans in that secondary.
He's a starting cornerback, and his secondary has been torched. He's a guy that really had played free safety and strong safety the last couple of years, but they did not want to start this game tonight with 2 true freshmen in Al Harris Jr. and Chris Lamons. So Bryson Williams, a guy they need to get back on the field. You can see teammates, Datrix Marcus, going over and making sure he's okay.
Both freshmen are on the field.
Oh, here you go. Watch out. Now, if you're Kenny Hill, you might want to try to pick your shot. Find your best matchup on either of these other true freshmen. Corners. It's got Speedy Noel at the top of the screen.
Comes in underneath. Broken tackle that time, and another first down across the 30-yard line. Carson slips out, but it was a busted tackle that put that play in motion.
And another example of poise by Kenny Hill. He doesn't have what he wants downfield. Just stay calm, check the ball down to your running back, allow him to go get you a first down.
Now from the 27. He's passed for over 200 yards here in the first half. Play action, and then you slip it outside to Reynolds, and Reynolds breaks another tackle across the 15-yard line.
You're seeing now a mass substitution coming on the field for South Carolina. There's not a doubt in my mind, Brent, this tempo has worn this defense down, and they're skating right now. They're on their heels, moving backwards, giving up chunks of yardage virtually each and every snap.
Play action, roll right. Under pressure and incomplete. Alan Williams was the defender for the Aggies on that play.
It's the first time in the Spurrier era there have been massive questions on the defensive side of the ball coming into the season. I don't care, you lose 3 defensive linemen, you lose your 2 starting corners, you're going to have issues. And we're seeing those demonstrate themselves in this game early against an offense that just seems to have all the answers.
4 receivers and Trey Williams the back. Touchdown, Edward Pope. Gamecocks have no answer on defense.
And they picked on the true freshman, Chris Lamons. The top of the screen again. Renzo Ward, South Carolina, trying to dial up pressure. A&M doing a great job in protection, giving Kenny Hill the time he needs to survey the field.
Kevin Sumlin and Spavital are actually calling plays like an NFL team would. They are actually targeting these two freshmen.
I think you have to.
Exactly. A 10-point cushion again. The answer to Johnny Football is Kenny Hill. Thank you very much.
Cam Newton, Tim Tebow, Johnny Manziel, a lot of those guys just came out of nowhere. You might be seeing the start of something very special here tonight with this young Kenny Hill.
And it'll come out after the touchback. You know, Jesse, think about this now. Texas A&M has 325 yards of offense so far in the first half.
Video game.
Okay. Hill has thrown for almost 200 now. 18 of 22.
It could be over 300 by the end of this half if South Carolina does not find a way to get pressure.
Let me correct that. He's already thrown for 241.
Yeah. It's might be
end of that last drive.
350. I mean, right now, it's off the charts. And so again, South Carolina, the pressure on them to come back out and have to answer. If you're Texas A&M defensively now, stop giving up the explosive play. You've got to keep the football in front of you. When they've done that tonight, they've done a pretty good job on defense.
South Carolina's been behind 10 points, the largest Aggie margin. Flag thrown by the umpire.
Prior to the snap, false start. 53 offense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Corey Robinson, outstanding offensive lineman. A little bit of a mistake there, make it first down and 15. Thompson starting 0-3, but then he's hit a couple of bombs for touchdowns. 5 of his last 7.
Brent, I talked at the start of the game about Dylan Thompson needing to be consistently accurate. And we saw him miss a couple throws early. He's kind of gotten hot here recently. Now, you're in this quote-unquote shootout with Kenny Hill. You can't afford to miss. I mean, this offense is going to have to be rolling and cruising and operating. And there's so much pressure right now on Dylan Thompson here playing at home week 1 to have to answer the bell each and every drive. It's a lot to ask.
Second and 15. And now it will be 3rd and long. And Matthews comes up on Davis.
Matthews, a leader of this secondary, very physical player. And he's playing with 2 freshmen in his unit. He's got Victor Davis outside of cornerback. He's got a true freshman playing free safety. He's got a big responsibility today to make sure guys are getting lined up properly and being where they need to be. It's a great play by a veteran senior leader, setting up now 3rd in California. You got to be looking for screens right now if you're Texas A&M on defense.
And Wild's checked in. He sometimes releases into the middle as a receiver. Let's see what Wild says. He's alongside Thompson. He's going to help pass protect. Middle, juggled, and there's a flag. The headlinesman threw the flag. Matthews was juggling, and the flag came flying.
I think it's going to be pass interference on the outside linebacker, Donnie Baggs. There's a lot of hand fighting going on down the field.
Pass interference. Defense number 16.
That's who it is.
A 15-yard penalty from the previous spot.
So
automatic first down.
It's the 2nd time tonight now South Carolina's been let off the hook on a 3rd and line because of a pass interference. You're going to see pressure coming off the edge. It's a blitz. It's another very good throw by Dylan Thompson under duress, a little bit behind, and certainly a ball that Howard Matthews wishes he had back. Tough throw with the pressure, but you see that hand jostling right there by Donnie Baggs, I think makes that call pretty straightforward.
Cooper checks back into the Wildcat. This is the 2nd snap that he's taken. And Bird takes the handoff, and he's ripped. There was Everett coming up to make the hit for the Aggies.
That's the one thing about this South Carolina offense that I think should just scare opposing defense. It's the speed all over the field. This Demir Bird, who runs on the indoor track team, 60 meters. I mean, he's gone in a flash. You've got other guys like Nick Jones. We've seen Farrell Cooper in the Wildcat. There's a lot of guys that can hurt you.
First down at midfield, Brandon Wilds.
They've got to take over, Brent, this offensive line, which, again, I think is the best Spurrier's had. They've got to start now grinding out, churning out yards on the ground. Without a doubt, this needs to be the strength of the offense this season. This O-line and this running back group led by Mike Davis.
First down. Thompson trying to find an open receiver. Will take a short loss out of bounds.
Talked about the improved pass rush for Texas A&M this year and some of the athletes they have. They got a defensive end, Deshaun Hall, who's a real big guy, 6'6", added 15 pounds this offseason. That time, he was able to jump up in the air. He even didn't get home to Dylan Thompson, but he was able to jump up in the air, force Dylan Thompson to hold on to the football and run that out of bounds. Again, the biggest difference I'm seeing right now from Texas A&M on their side of the ball is a much improved pass rush.
Mike Davis is the running back. Pass protects. Going for the bomb again to Bird. Incomplete at the 10, and another flag comes flying. That time it looked like Victor Davis was back.
Pass interference. Defense number 28. 15-yard penalty from the previous spot. Automatic first down.
We talked about Demir Bird and how his speed scares you, and here they are going after a freshman and Victor Davis. Demir Bird outside. He's just going to run a straight go route. You see Victor Davis has his head turned to the ball. He's not playing the ball, but his hand jostling. I think it's the correct call by the referees in this case. The explosive plays, that right now is what's killing Texas A&M. It's giving up long touchdown passes and 3 pass interference calls now.
Sometimes that ball that's a little short eventually did the pass interference.
Jim Fossil, my head coach at New York with the Giants, used to tell me the worst thing you can do on a deep ball is overthrow the wide receiver. One of the better things you can do is underthrow it, give him a chance to come back and catch it, or you might get pass interference.
First down for Thompson and timeout.
Timeout, South Carolina.
Talk about it with the coach. 4:36 remaining here in the first half. The Aggies have led all game long, and they're up by 10.
Credit, they've answered the bell when they've needed to after big scores from Texas A&M. The question to me now, can Kenny Hill and this A&M offense, can they keep it up?
Here's your first down at the 37-yard line for the Gamecocks. They have 1 timeout remaining in the first half. Davis, and he's going to be thrown for a loss. Good penetration by the defense that time. Jay Arnold, we've mentioned him a couple of times.
Yeah, and he's a guy that moved inside. He played defensive end last year, had to gain weight inside. You're going to see him here. Number 96 does a great job swimming an offensive lineman, Cody Waldrop, guard. And again, improved play by the defensive line, whether it's been pass rush, whether it's been in the running game. They're answering some serious questions right now that people had about them before tonight's game.
Second down at 14 for Thompson. Good time. There's your shot down the middle, and no receiver. Jabbar Gaffney was nowhere to be found, Jesse.
He was always there to be found when I was playing back in Florida, but guess who? Jay Arnold. We just mentioned him before, making a great play in the running game now, showing you his pass rush skills from his time as a defensive end. You give him a one-on-one matchup against a guard who generally are better run blockers than they are pass blockers. That's an advantage. Again, deeper up front, different, better athletes up front for A&M.
Big third down for the Gamecocks. Thompson, high and incomplete, and he had Anderson in the hole, and Thompson signaling like he wanted Anderson to go a little bit further out, and I'm not sure that Anderson read it that way.
Yeah, I think Steve Spurrier and Dylan Thompson understand they just missed an opportunity. You're going to see Texas A&M, they're going to drop 9 people back into coverage. Yet there's a hole over the middle of the field. That's a throw. But Dylan Thompson has to get down. He's got to stop his receiver in that zone area. You see, he doesn't really let his feet get under him. He kind of bailed out of the throw late. We talked about consistent accuracy from Dylan Thompson. Those are the types of examples, those throws that he's way too good to miss. Miscommunication between the tight end and the quarterback on that one.
So what would you do, Jesse, with this 4th down? You're at the 41-yard line. A couple of things. You hate to give the Aggies the football back the way they've been moving it, but it's a long ways. You're probably not going to use your field goal kicker, but Spurrier's down here trying to diagram something.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, I think at this point, because your defense hasn't shown that they can stop Texas A&M, you know, knowing Steve Spurrier and how aggressive he is with the size he has with Rory Anderson, Jarrell Adams, these guys in the middle of the field, you know, he may just elect to stay on the field there and take a shot.
Tonight at 12:15 a.m. on the SEC Network, join host Dari Noka and the network analyst discussing all the SEC news of the day on SEC Now. Also available on Watch ESPN. You know, Jesse, when you get something like this, a storyline that turns completely around that nobody expected, you could just hear people coming to the sets. They're joining their buddies in the saloons around the country. Have you seen this? Have you seen this Aggie first-time starter?
We really call this coffee talk in the morning. Tomorrow morning, everyone goes to work. It's Friday.
I think I agree with Coach here. At least he's going into punt formation right now. Try to make the Aggies go the long way with 3:49 and not give them a short field. And Noah's going to let this one go. It's where the ball is, and it's being marked on that side. Let's see the signal, and it's going to come out. Yeah, it was a touchback. Good call. Unlike the NFL, it's the position of the ball. Steve Shaw taught me the other day when I was at that clinic. The head of the
I was sitting right beside you. How about that?
It's good that you've got him alongside us right now. I never like to go to war without a...
Hey, we got the best in the booth with us right now, but you're right. All right. So now you've lost the opportunity with the field position. Granted, you're not giving the football back at their 40, but can you find a stop if you're South Carolina?
Going to throw again. They're going to set the screen. And that's Trey Williams. 2nd down and 10. Sky Moore. Fine tackle.
Just how big would it be for Texas A&M if they could find a way to tack on more points here before the half are over? They're still operating at mock speed. South Carolina a little slow getting lined up.
Hill on the move, throws a strike for a 1st down, and Malcolm Kennedy. Hill on the move has impressed me. How he throws, always looking downfield. That's not easy for a young quarterback.
I think it's another example of the poise, Brent. Just kind of being in the moment, and again scrambling to throw. He's not Johnny Manziel. He wants to stay behind the line of scrimmage and find big plays downfield.
And Kaylee, there's an abundance of receivers here too.
There is, Brent. Now we know was the exclamatory point that Malcolm Kennedy made to his receivers as David Beatty, their coach, explained how they were able to successfully expose that South Carolina secondary during their last touchdown drive. Beatty then went on to say, keep doing what you're doing, just play, let us coach. Maria has reported how South Carolina is so serious about keeping up the tempo of their defense. This A&M offense, based on that conversation, not letting up on their tempo.
You know, I think, Kaylee, the one advantage South Carolina's had defensively, and a new wrinkle you're seeing, is this new 3-4 defense, because it allows them to get lined up quicker. They're not flip-flopping cornerbacks and outside linebackers. Tonight, getting lined up hasn't been the problem for South Carolina. The problem has been stopping Texas A&M once they're lined up.
Hill is 23 of 28 for 262 yards and 2 touchdowns. They come back with the running play and pick up another 1st down with Trey Williams.
And we're seeing that line of scrimmage. It's in Texas A&M's advantage right now. That offensive line you and I have been talking about, these big hog mollies up front, they're getting push in the run game. They're protecting Kenny Hill. We said at the beginning of the game, which offensive line plays the best in this game very well may determine it. I would argue right now, that's Texas A&M.
Second down and short. Dropped a few times tonight. Holmes couldn't quite hold on to it. Would have been a first down. And a reminder that coming up at the half, Regionals Bank halftime report. Joe Tessitore, Tim Tebow, Marcus Spears, and Paul Feinbaum. There's the gang getting ready. They'll have first half analysis. We'll talk about the Vanderbilt game later tonight and what adjustments Coach might make. And Malcolm Kennedy picked up that first down inside of 2 minutes. And so now, if they don't score, they can at least keep the ball out of South Carolina's hands.
No doubt, but I don't even think that's what they're thinking about. I think they're going to try and take shots and be aggressive and keep playing at a tempo and keep taking shots in the middle of the field if they present themselves. I don't even think they're worried about the clock. They just can't be stopped.
Kennedy again. Close to a first down. You know, all the defensive coordinators during the summer breathing a sigh of relief. We don't have to worry about that guy Manziel. He's gone out of our lives. They're watching tonight. Oh my goodness. Now we got to worry about Kenny Hill.
They're starting to circle their schedules. When we got to play these guys, how do we got to get them ready?
Kennedy, a first down and out of bounds at the 24-yard line, milking the clock, bringing it right back down the field, leading by 10 and looking for more.
Yeah, and South Carolina looks tired. I'm looking at a lot of guys with their hands on their hips right now. These quick throws to the flat, South Carolina defenders are a lot slower. They're having to run a long way sideline to sideline to make these stops.
Another strike, out of bounds, first down, Speedy Noyle.
He just knows where to go with the ball, and there's no hesitation. Throwing the football with conviction, and I think that's the advantage for a guy like Kenny Hill, having played in a similar system in high school and having sat for a year last year. Just a tremendous amount of confidence.
Didn't I say this was the year of the running back of the SEC?
We didn't know about Kenny Hill yet.
Fade over the top. Is there another flag? Yes. Pope was the intended receiver, and I think you could see that one coming, folks.
It's another example of him understanding where his best matchup is. And he's got a 6'4 receiver in Edward Pope against a true freshman who's long. And he's got long arms in Al Harris Jr., but it's a mismatch Kenny Hill wants to take.
He had a brilliant career at St. Thomas Aquinas. Harris.
Pass interference. Defense number 31. By rule, the ball will be placed at the 2-yard line. Automatic first down.
But he missed most of his senior season because of an injury. And there he is. He just lost contact.
Well, and he held on to his jersey. You see with the right hand at the end of that. Lost his balance, fell to the floor. And you wonder if part of that is fatigue, not being able to stay on his feet. We don't really know. What I do know is A&M and Kenny Hill, they're rolling.
Play action, fire almost a touchdown. Malcolm Kennedy wanted a flag on that one.
You know, and I really think if you're Texas A&M right now, with the way your offensive line is playing in the first drive of the game, you got into a similar situation with Trey Carson and goal line. You just punch the ball in. I think you can go ahead and do that and rely on big Cedric Ogbuehi, Mike Matthews, Jermaine Ifedi, some of these guys up front. They have looked good tonight.
Carson alongside Hill. Pocket holds to the corner, incomplete. Threw it away. Wasn't going to be intercepted. Seals Jones trying to get to the corner, and he was well covered that time.
Now this is big, Brent, because you got a big 3rd and 2. Going into halftime, up 31-14 is a lot different than going up 27-14. I think from a morale standpoint. So this is a huge down right now for South Carolina's defense to really play big with their backs against the wall.
Aggies spread the field. 4 receivers. Option look. Pitch. Carson. Touchdown. Texas A&M. Great call.
Texas A&M has had success running more conventionally, using their running backs, and that's a nice little wrinkle on a speed option, isolating a defensive end, putting the football in the hands of the running back for a walk-in score. This place right now is shocked.
There are ripples from Auburn through Tuscaloosa, through Baton Rouge, through the Mississippi schools. The Aggies have come up with a quarterback. And they've got some fellows who are tackling here tonight. It's 31-14, the $5 million man.
See here again, little speed odds. Darius Ingles, the defensive end. So they don't block him, and they're going to let him be wrong. He's either going to take the quarterback, and Kenny Hill's going to pitch it. If he takes Trey Carson, and Kenny Hill's keeping the football by himself and walking in and scoring. Jake Spavital with his play calling tonight offensively has been one step ahead of this South Carolina defense. That face right there tells you everything you need to know about this crowd.
Stunned, folks. Stunned here in Columbia. 31-14, and it's been only 2 long bombs for Carolina.
And, you know, you've got no timeouts offensively. So what can you salvage before the end of this half? Now, they're going to get the ball back first in the second half, so that's a good place to start. There's got to be a way for South Carolina to try and salvage something here. A lot of pressure again on him. Dylan Thompson's going to have to answer. The 5th-year senior who was patient, who waited out his turn behind Connor Shaw. He's got to come up with something, come up with some plays against what to me has been a very underrated Texas A&M defense, particularly in the front seven.
Sean Carson's back deep. Gamecocks out of timeouts, 1:16 remaining. Great aerial coverage again provided by Goodyear from the capital, the great state of South Carolina. And everything Goodyear has learned, making tires that go the distance, inspires what they roll into yours. Goodyear, more driven. Well, Jesse, we'll see what Coach Spurrier and Thompson try to dial up here in the closing moments of the opening half. Like you said, it's shocked this crowd.
Yeah, I think that's the best way to put it. You can hear it right now. Right now, Texas A&M, Myles Garrett, some of those outstanding young players. Deshaun Hall.
Going to set the screen in underneath with Wiles, and Wiles runs wild up to the midfield, and of course that'll stop the clock momentarily at 1:05, and that sets it up.
Yeah. No doubt about it. Every coach tells their quarterback in a 2-minute situation, get a completion, get the rhythm going, get your offense lathered up. That's a nice, easy screen throw to Brandon Wilds at running back, picking up a huge chunk of yards.
Hall of Famer Spurrier calling plays on that sideline. Wide open. Complete to the 25-yard line, and Cooper. And the Gamecocks get one here in the closing minute. It would be a huge morale boost.
This is where South Carolina, too, has found success. And that's where they've tried to attack Texas A&M in the seams. There's slot. Farrell Cooper there making a big play, and a much better throw by Dylan Thompson.
Almost picked off in the end zone.
Well, you see Steve Spurrier, he's taken a lot of different shots down those hash marks, down that seam area over the middle of the field in these soft zones. That's where he seems to feel he's got his best shot. But again, his tight ends, Rory Anderson, Jarrell Adams, and slot receiver Farrell Cooper. But nearly 6 feet tall. That's the most size they have at wide receiver right now. And this is a place, again, we talked about the improved play of Texas A&M at defensive line. This is where it really needs to show up in this type of situation.
Clock starts on the snap. Middle open, incomplete. Nick Jones was the intended receiver, and he couldn't hang on.
It's the second time the true freshman Armani Watts has broken up a pass over the middle of the field. Remember, he did it to Farrell Cooper earlier. That's a wide open Nick Jones, a clean hit. Smart football by the true freshman, hitting him on the shoulder, doing his job, dislodging the ball from the intended target. I'm impressed with this young true freshman free safety from A&M.
30 seconds remaining. Third down for the Gamecocks.
Over the middle of the field, that's where you got to be thinking.
Wiles. And there's a penalty flag. It was thrown on the far side.
I'm thinking, yeah, you also kind of need to look at intentional grounding here, potentially, on Dylan Thompson. Let's take another look at this. He's in the pocket right here. His pressure from Garrett. You see, he just kind of throws that football away. I don't know if it made it past the line of scrimmage. He's in the pocket, so it doesn't even matter.
With 2 fouls on the play, holding, 71 offense, that foul's declined. Intentional grounding, number 17 offense. That penalty, correction, the ball will be spotted at the spot of the foul. Loss of down, 4th down.
And that's huge. You know, really what hurts about that penalty is a loss of down, putting them in 4th down territory. Now you're going to see Dylan Thompson here in the pocket, looking downfield, pressure coming from right in front of him. Just kind of throws this football away, try and save it, and Spurrier knows right away. That was a momentum killer on this late drive that started off showing so much promise.
Myles Garrett was trying to split a double team, and they were hanging on for dear life. That was the first penalty. And then Thompson, of course, throws it away. And now Spurrier will run out the clock here. So they run off the 10 seconds as the penalty came here in the closing minutes of the first half. The Aggies, long field goal attempt. Elliott Fry. No good. An 18-game home winning streak is on the line. Texas A&M has traveled in here to South Carolina for the first meeting ever against the Gamecocks, and they have shocked them.
Yeah, if I'm a member on South Carolina's defense, I'm not looking forward to my halftime talk from defensive coordinator Lorenzo Ward. I mean, this is uncharted waters. I can't remember the last time under Steve Spurrier as a head coach I've seen the South Carolina defense struggle as much as they have watching them here in the first half.
Meanwhile, number 69 and 46 touchdown scoring plays, and that's been about it for the Gamecocks, who will get the ball to start the second half. Now here comes a very, very important series. When you're trying to dig back in and you're here at home, Carson back deep. Hadn't been able to get the return game going against the kickoff man. Not going to this time against Bertolet either. That's one thing about the Aggies. You know, we knew that they had a great offensive line, but you don't want to overlook that kicking game that they have.
And I really think they've won this game so far in all 3 phases, on offense, defense, and on special teams. Now you're Dylan Thompson. You're coming back out on the field. I know South Carolina has had success in this game throwing the football vertically down the field, but I really think they need to get back to running the football, whether it's more Mike Davis, whether it's Brandon Wilds. That offensive line has to demonstrate itself. They need to be able to possess the football and give their defense its best chance of finding stops.
Davis has gone back to the locker room. He's not on the field. Wilds is the running back. Thompson in trouble, fires incomplete, and it will be 2nd and 10. And he was being harassed that time by Deshaun Hall.
Another example of that improved pass rush. That's bad news, Brent, for the South Carolina offense. We knew Mike Davis wasn't 100% healthy coming into tonight, but even at 90%, he's a difference maker. Without him on the field, this South Carolina offense, they lose an element.
Wild stays in as running back on 2nd and 10. The bomb again. Incomplete. Intended for Shaq Rowland.
How about DeShazer Everett right there, making a play? Remember, he's the guy that got beat on a couple early touchdown passes in this game, but here matching up one-on-one with Shaq Rowland, giving him some cushion, going back and just playing the receiver, and that's clean. That's a great play by DeShazer Everett. That's something you'd love to see if you're Mark Snyder, defensive coordinator. The one minus you've given yourself so far on defense is you've given up too many explosive plays in the pass game.
3rd and 10 on the opening drive of the second half for South Carolina. Here comes a blitz. You'll be forced to throw it away, and folks, it's 3 and out. A.J. Hilliard was coming. The linebacker came right up the middle.
TCU transfer. You know, you're going to see there's been different ways. Pressure's been coming from the defensive line. Look at number 46 right in the middle of the field. He just runs right by the center and the guard who turned away. Doesn't get the sack, but he forces Dylan Thompson out of the pocket. He disrupts the timing in the offense, and that's a huge win. You heard Kevin Sumlin say he wants to see his team finish. Well, how about your defense taking the field and forcing a 3 and out right away?
Noel picks it up on the big hop. Down at the 34-yard line, and here will come the man of the hour, Kenny Hill. The Aggies have never trailed. They jumped out to a 10-0 lead. They scored a touchdown behind Hill on the opening drive of this game. That young man hit 9 different receivers. Malcolm Kennedy caught 10 passes in the first half. Trey Williams opens as the running back. And look at this. The Gamecocks confused. Get a defensive player out late. Wide open. First down to the 45-yard line, and that's Speedy Noel, the freshman from New Orleans.
And Texas A&M is winning against press man-to-man coverage. Look at Speedy Noel at the top of the screen, number 2. He just blows by the corner on that slant route. You just see the natural quicks he possessed, and why he was rated the #1 high school athlete coming out last year.
Going tempo. Play action. Beautiful pattern. Josh Reynolds cuts off of it to the 26-yard line. I think Joe Tiller diagrammed that play for Sumlin way back.
It's a lot of short passes we've seen here to the perimeter of the field. There's Bryson Williams, the converted safety, missing a tackle on the play, playing at cornerback. And again, pedal to the metal.
Great poise for a first game starter. Down at the 20-yard line.
That's been impressive, hasn't it, Brent?
The
composure, whether it's in the pocket, whether it's outside the pocket, whether it's at the line of scrimmage, whether it's understanding and pre-snap reads where he needs to go with the football. I feel like Kenny Hill has just always been in control of this game.
From the first drive. Now he's got Brandon Williams alongside. Second down and 4. Smoke that time. Sky was coming. Moore delivered the sack. So a little pressure dialed up here.
And South Carolina hasn't been able to get home with their defensive linemen. So we talked about the strength being at linebacker, and Lorenzo Ward's decided to start dialing up pressure. Sky Moore beats Brandon Williams in pass protection and makes the play. You're going to start seeing this more. They're going to be aggressive. They're going to throw caution to the wind. Try and find a way to get Kenny Hill off the river with more pressures. I like the call.
Third down and long. Draw play. Williams, what a great call this is. Down the sideline, diving. Out of bounds, I believe, is the signal. Let's see now. Yep, it was out of bounds at just across the 6-yard line.
It's a great call by offensive coordinator Jake Spavital, and a tremendous block by center Mike Matthews that was able, what you'll see right here, he kind of engages real quick in the second level with linebacker Jonathan Walton, and that allows Brandon Williams to get outside for the explosive play on
18,
third down.
Pope delivered a terrific block downfield. There's Mike Matthews, the ringleader of the offensive line. Confusion with the Gamecock defense. Hill His daddy was a baseball player. He's got to teach him how to slide.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
We got to get him to the sliding pit with Pops next week.
Hey,
back at College Station. We got to get down.
He can't do everything right on the first start, right? I mean, the ball's not touching the ground when he's throwing it.
Yeah,
he's making all the right reads.
There's a scouting report at the bottom. Doesn't slide well.
Yeah, okay, there you go. You got to get him something to work on for next week against Rice, right? Lamar, whoever they're playing.
Second and goal. Corner. Grabbed. Incomplete. Chris Moody, who was shaken up in the first half. Coverage at that time on Holmes.
And this just shows you the confidence that this coaching staff has in Kenny Hill. You know, I've been surprised. When they've gotten in this area of the field, instead of running the football down here, they decided to throw it against man-to-man coverage. I think that's exactly where you need to put the football if you're Kenny Hill. You can't put it any better than that. That's one the wide receiver needs to come down with. More man-to-man coverage again.
Trey Carson checks in as his running back. Feathered, touched, grabbed, touchdown, Josh Reynolds.
Kenny Hill, again, tremendous tonight in the pre-snap game. Finding the true freshman Al Harris Jr. one-on-one outside with a 6'4" wide receiver. And Al Harris Jr. got aggressive, really tried to jam. He missed him, and that allowed Josh Reynolds to get in the back corner of the end zone and another perfectly thrown ball.
I get the early leader in the Heisman chatter, at least until Ole Miss finish.
You can hold on to that. You can go ahead and tweet that.
I had to give the Twitterati something to, complain about tonight. 38-14. Wow. It's all Aggies. Kevin Sumlin takes over after a successful tenure at Houston. Comes in and out.
Unbelievable is the fact that they're doing it here at Williams-Brice Stadium. We said it at the top of the game. To me, it's been the most underappreciated home field advantage in all of college football. And from the very first snap, Texas A&M has just taken the wind out of this place.
Carson from the 5. Regains his balance, and he still will be short of the 20-yard line. Gamecocks under the gun now. And Mike Davis, of course, did not participate in that first series, and he was reported to have gone back to the training room. And so Wilds continues to be the running back. So this night is turning into a nightmare for the Gamecocks. So much enthusiasm in this town, all these great fans. Wonderful scene at the start of the game. Wilds did not get it. Good play action fake there by Thompson, and he kept it. And of course, that's what they missed with Connor Shaw.
No doubt about it, Brent. That's a great observation. Connor Shaw, not only the winningest quarterback in school history, as you see there's a Texas A&M defender down on the ground. It's A.J. Hilliard. But Connor Shaw kept this offense in rhythm and on schedule. You know, he only threw one interception a year ago versus 24 touchdowns. And how many times in big games did we see Connor Shaw make plays with his legs, critical down and distances? All you got to do is go back and turn on the Missouri game from last year when Connor Shaw comes in the game late and leads them back to an overtime win. Certainly Dylan Thompson isn't going to be Connor Shaw. He can run a little bit. He's not the same quarterback. And he's got ability. We've seen in this game, to throw the football down the field, but boy, oh boy. In the South Carolina right now, obviously with their backs up against the wall.
Now, the young man being tended to in the field, we'll get a report on Hilliard. And meanwhile, let us break in many of the studio shows as the SEC network gets underway with the studios in Charlotte.
Outside of you, she's also the best athlete on our crew. Played volleyball and basketball at Georgia. You kidding me?
Well, here we go. 38-14 now. Second down and 4. Thompson and the Gamecocks, and it will be third down again.
There's really nowhere for Dylan Thompson to place that pass. Again, tight coverage. I've already seen in the beginning here in the second half that coverage has been better on the back end. We said that would be the one minus you'd have given this defensive unit in the first half, giving up big plays. But nice job by Donnie Baggs, a linebacker, sticking with the tight end, now setting up 3rd and 5. Another big down. And this is where they've gotten in trouble with some of this pressure.
Snapped it off to Nick Jones for the first down.
You kind of wondered how South Carolina was going to respond this season after losing Jadeveon Clowney and losing Connor Shaw. They didn't have any superstars on their team, no first-team all-conference selections. I think they felt a little slighted how they would fight in this game.
Same target.
All of a sudden, Steve Spurrier right now, he's picking up the tempo on offense, realizing time is of the essence. Down 24 points, needing to get going. Needing to generate some offense and getting the football out of Dylan Thompson's hands quickly.
2 long scoring plays. In case you joined us, that's it for the Gamecocks. They have been unable to sustain drives. For 69 yards and 46 yards on those 2 bombs. Otherwise, it's been hard going and big gaping hole for Wilds.
Now, I remember in a game last year, they were struggling on the road at UCF. They tried to throw the ball a lot in the first half. In the second half, they started running the football more. They were able to get back in the game. And I know they're down 24 points. There's a lot of football to go, but I still think the running game needs to be a dimension for South Carolina. They're going to come back and have a chance at winning this game.
Nice catch. That was a fine play by Cooper, and there is a flag.
Farrell Cooper is a player that needs to have a breakout year. Everyone talks about them losing Connor Shaw, but what about Bruce Ellington? How good of a slot receiver was he a year ago? How many big catches did he make? Farrell Cooper, the guy in charge of replacing him, he's a guy that really needs to come on for this offense, not just tonight, but for the entire season. An All-SEC freshman performer a year ago.
Illegal substitution. Number 16 of the defense entered the field of play during the play. It's a 5-yard penalty for the previous spot. Repeat, first down.
Well, Steve Spurrier continues to leave his mark on the SEC. 199 wins. And he showcased in The Believer, an SEC storied film presented by AT&T. Wednesday at 8:30 p.m. on the SEC Network. Carson checks in as a running back. After the penalty, it's 1st and 5. Gamecocks are at the 39-yard line. Thompson still looking for a receiver. The underneath man was wide open. Nick Jones. He's been the go-to guy here so far in this quarter.
Great job to Dylan Thompson. Wasn't able to throw that ball on time, got flushed out of the pocket and kept his vision focused downfield. Finding, as Coach Spurrier calls the governor Nick Jones. For a big completion, keeping this drive alive. This is a must-score opportunity if you're South Carolina. Must-score situation.
Clock is moving. To the 20-yard line and wrestled out of bounds by Howard Matthews, the ringleader back there.
You know, Brent, I've been impressed in so many facets with this A&M defense. We talked about being able to tackle, and the thing they did a very poor job of a year ago, leading to way too many explosive plays given up. And there's a great example of Howard Matthews, the leader, one of the leaders of this defense, certainly the leader of the secondary, making a nice open field stop against a much shiftier running back in Sean Carson.
Second down and 8. Time. Fires. Juggled. Incomplete. The penalty flag comes flying. Cooper, the target.
And again, Steve Spurrier taking shots down the seam areas of this Texas A&M defense. There's Pharoh Cooper. We talked about needing to have a big year.
Pass interference, defense number 26. It's a 15-yard penalty, automatic first out.
Burns.
And that's the 4th pass interference call on this Texas A&M defense. You're going to see here in the slot, there's Pharoh Cooper. It's man-to-man, and he's kind of got him twisted and hooked. I mean, these aren't very debatable in my opinion. I think before he jumped, he kind of hooked him with his arm, twisted him around. I mean, these are challenge throws. These are small windows that Dylan Thompson has to throw into. Really, the majority of their success, Brent, has come on these deep throws.
The Gamecocks have been practicing the tight ends in the red zone. High, went to the outside, touchdown, Cooper. Cooper held on to it. He was under pressure.
Yeah, he needs to make more plays like this, and I think that's good to see. You know, outside of the slot, lined up at wide receiver, one-on-one slant route, and that's another terrific throw from Dylan Thompson. Another good answer. And you got to hang on right now for South Carolina. Your defense needs to make a stop, and offensively, you're going to have to capitalize and make plays. That's an impressive drive led by Dylan Thompson. They picked the tempo up a little bit. Pharoh Cooper making some plays on the drive.
And they tacks on the extra point. 38-21. The question now before the house: can the Gamecock defense stop young Kenny Hill? If they can't, it's going to be light. Trying to make one final stand. Trying to preserve that 18-game home winning streak. The Gamecocks trying to come back. Onside kick. And a great play up front by Baggs, the linebacker, who made a terrific move. I thought he camouflaged it well.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't think anyone in the building suspected that was going to be an onside kick. That's a real football heads-up play by the senior Donnie Baggs, showing tremendous head. I mean, that's almost perfectly executed by South Carolina. Great job just jumping on that. And, you know, and really, why not if you're Steve Spurrier, right?
No question.
I mean, you know, why not? Your defense hasn't shown that you can stop them.
The kicker almost had it.
Yeah.
That was Landon Ard from Rock Hill, South Carolina. Incomplete, trying to set a screen, and it got ugly. Let's check in with Maria.
For defensive coordinator Lorenzo Ward, the biggest concern right now, open field tackles and creating pressure. He said at halftime, Coach Spurrier told him to play a lot of guys until they can generate that pressure. He feels like they're getting a little bit gassed, so don't be surprised if they go a little bit deeper into their depth chart.
There's Coach Ward on the sideline. Got Hill in 2nd and 10 now with a short field. Stays right in the pocket, delivers a strike for a first down.
And really, I can sense Lorenzo Ward's frustration because he wants to pressure naturally every game, but it's pointless against this type of offense because they get the football out so quickly, and then you have less players in the back end of your defense to make tackles in open space. Just like that.
Malcolm Kennedy shakes a tackler, picks up about 3 yards. Williams finally gets him down. If nothing else, folks, the Aggies have shown tonight there is life after Johnny football.
And I really like what Kevin Sumlin and his coaching staff did to take the pressure off of Kenny Hill. He didn't have to be Johnny football. He could put the pressure on a veteran offensive line, veteran playmakers, and on the coaching staff to make this game plan quarterback friendly. They've all done just that.
On the move, steps up, fires a strike to the freshman Noyle, who picks up the first down. Got to get a ticket and go watch these Aggies play. I'm telling you, Hill to Noyle is going to become something with big Malcolm Kennedy and Seals Jones working on those slants.
You're reading my mind.
Oh, my
Because
goodness.
you tell me where Kenny Hill's going to throw it every play. There's 4 or 5 guys out there that can make a play. These guys are loaded across the board. forget Mike Evans and Johnny Manziel. Kevin Sumlin's brought in some other dudes.
Williams twists, turns, bangs across for another first down, close to the 5-yard line. And it's almost lights out in Columbia.
And Brent, you know what? If they wanted to keep doing this, they could do that every snap. In the run game, we haven't seen a lot of it because of how well Kenny Hill's been handling the pass game. If they've wanted to just line up and pound the football and run it down South Carolina's throat, they could be right now. They're just connecting on all cylinders.
Obuehi, Harrison, Matthews, Cheek, and if any. Tremendous performance by this offensive line. I thought on the first drive of the game, they really made sure that that quarterback was not rattled. You get an offensive line like this and a young gun like Kenny Hill, you're in it to stay. Noel couldn't make the diving catch over there in the corner.
You know, and now I'm dissecting this thing real carefully. How could you miss that throw? How could you not come up with that catch?
But you couldn't pick it.
No, you couldn't. He put it only where his young receiver could make it. And Speedy Knowles had a couple drops tonight. You wonder if it's first game jitters, whatever. I'm telling you guys, that is a household name that you need to become familiar with. Speedy Knowles, and as you said, Brent, probably Kenny Hill to Speedy Knowles.
Second down and goal. Pressure dialed up. Hill runs away from it. On the move. And he'll be short of the end zone. Look at him reaching for the pylon and trying to say, I got that pylon before he was out of bounds.
We got to go back and look at this, see where he stepped out of bounds and see where the football was once he stepped out of bounds. That was a nice piece of footwork by Kenny Hill on the sidelines. Take a look again. Ball's in his left hand. You're going to see right. Okay, there he's out of bounds. To me, that foot is touching the sideline, which is out of bounds. The first foot, no matter what, that ball hasn't crossed. It's a good call.
Well, I think it's out of bounds the second time.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the first time, yeah. All right.
Third down and goal. Trey Carson, 238 pounds with a fullback. Here comes Carson. Touchdown. Right behind Mike Matthews.
And that's demoralizing, that type of run. It's a power run. They pull the backside guard. Texas A&M, known for the spread offense and the air raid attack, gets in a goal line set, and they just run the football right by South Carolina for an easy score. And every time, Brent, South Carolina's found momentum on offense, Kenny Hill has come right back, marches him down the field, scores. It's as if he's been doing this for 4 or 5 years as a starter. That's what he looks like to me.
Josh Lambo tacks on another one. Hey, I tell you what, my friend Jesse, if you've got Carson in a college fantasy league, that's his third touchdown rushing tonight.
Hey, drinks on them.
The Gamecocks react. One thing that a quality coach like Spurrier knows, you can't let one defeat turn into two. You got to regroup the troops. And celebrating its 9th year sponsoring the Good Hands field goal nets, Allstate makes contributions to participating university general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. Since 2005, Allstate has contributed more than $3.4 million in scholarship funds.
You just mentioned that, Brent. You can't let one loss turn into two. I think a lot of people look at South Carolina's schedule. They see East Carolina next up, but don't sleep on East Carolina. That's a team that won 10 games a year ago. And then you've got Georgia right after that. So, I mean, there's a serious stretch of games early in the season for South Carolina. Obviously, still a lot of football tonight to be played. But I'm with you. I mean, if in fact they lose this game tonight, they've got to be able to rebound quickly. They're playing a pretty good team. I know it's not an SEC team. But East Carolina, I think, is pretty good.
First time out of the half. Well, let's look ahead. Jesse to Saturday. Tennessee Martin against Kentucky. We'll be at Arkansas, Auburn, Southern Miss, and Mississippi State. Talk to me about Mississippi State.
I'm telling you, Brent, I've been on this bandwagon since last year. I think this could be a special year for Mississippi State. They return 18 starters. I think Dak Prescott is a dark horse candidate to win the Heisman at quarterback. They've got their 5 top receivers coming back. If you've seen their defense in person, they're big. They look like an NFL defense, and this schedule sets up great. Their crossover games from the East are against Vanderbilt and Kentucky. They do have to play Bama and LSU on the road, but they play LSU early, and they've got a lot of question marks at the skill spots on offense. I think Mississippi State has a chance to make some noise.
Complete. Midfield, Adams, one of the tight ends. A good opening play here for the Gamecocks, and they'd like to strike quickly. 27 yards on that pass. Can't waste time.
Now you see it again, the tempo now picking up. Knowing again they have to score quick, and it's almost desperation mode right now if you're South Carolina. But you know, the good news on offense, they're still finding chunk yardage on these plays.
Gone to 3 down on the Aggie side. They know it's going to be pass, pass, pass the rest of the way for the Gamecocks. Having said that, like you say, don't give up on the run, and they didn't with Wilds on that play. Walker with the stop for the Aggies.
And going back to what Kevin Sumlin said, entering the second half, he wanted to see his guys finish. And I think part of the evaluation for him watching this game and watching his defense, had a lot of success in the first half, but you got to see them close a game out. You got to start making some stops. Can't take your foot off the gas pedal just yet.
2nd down and 5. Inside of 3:55 here in the 3rd quarter. Wiles. Good run for the 1st down. Young Garrett brings him down. All right, Jesse, it's time for your first
I've been waiting for
Aflac
this.
trivia
Here it
question.
comes.
Cue the duck. All right. Steve Spurrier was the SEC's first Heisman Trophy winning quarterback in '66. Who was the 2nd SEC quarterback to win it?
The 2nd SEC quarterback to win.
I'm going to think about it. I'm going to give you a hint.
Okay.
It was 5 years after Spurrier.
I was going to say Auburn. If I threw Auburn at you.
Baby, you were right on the money.
Okay.
You are right on the money. Okay? Downfield, end zone. Bird, no, out of bounds. Close. Real close that time.
Again, a lot of speed on the perimeter of the field for South Carolina. I think just watching this game, the deep ball, the secondary is right now a major question mark for this A&M defense. And this is close. You see, yeah, he wasn't in bounds. No feet were on the ground when he actually possessed that football. It's a good call, I think. Yeah, mid-stride, he's out of bounds. That's close. That's a good throw by Dylan Thompson. That's close.
Down, and a good run with Cooper. Cooper's got some football moxie, folks.
Yeah, he does.
He did not go down easily.
He's a guy that can kind of do it all. Last year made plays in the kick return game, the punt return game, had a long touchdown run, played a little wildcat quarterback, and he's replacing Bruce Ellington again. This has been the best play on offense for South Carolina all night. That seam route over the middle of the field and providing a bigger target. Remember, South Carolina, they don't have a lot of size at wide receiver. Farrell Cooper just under 6 feet tall, doing a nice job high pointing that football, giving Dylan Thompson a place to go with it.
Thompson closing in on a 300-yard gain. Got 1st and goal, looking for a quick strike. Far side, and touchdown, Nick Jones.
I'll say this, I'm very impressed with South Carolina's fight on offense and how they continue to come out and come back. Nick Jones working on the freshman. Victor Davis outside one-on-one, beats him very badly. Nick Jones, he's tiny. He's only 5'7", under 170 pounds. That's a good catch. Gets a foot down, inbounds. Great job with the concentration. Another tremendous throw by Dylan Thompson.
Jones' 2nd touchdown of the game. Elliott Fry tacks on the the extra point. A well-thrown ball by Thompson, and Nick Jones makes a fine catch and then gets that 1 foot down in bounds, no doubt about it. All right, my friend Jesse Palmer. As we see Thompson celebrating. Speaking of quarterbacks, let's go back to our Aflac trivia. The SEC quarterback after Steve Spurrier.
I said Sullivan.
That's it. That's it.
All right.
Ding, ding, ding,
Pat
ding,
Sullivan.
Pat
Hey, we're off to a good start.
You are off to a good start.
All right. You know, I'm not going to lie.
You guys in Canada.
Felt a lot of heat. Huh?
You did.
It was SEC quarterbacks. No, we have very good sources, Brian.
Did somebody Twitter?
No, just
okay.
no. Hey, phone's down.
Okay.
Just saying.
Okay.
Just saying.
Good job.
You know, I know people.
Steve Spurrier has done a magnificent job here at South Carolina. 3 consecutive 11-win seasons, no matter what happens here tonight. So far, it's been one of those nights for Steve and the Gamecocks. Fell behind on the opening drive and been in catch-up mode ever since, and just haven't been able to get over the mountain that has become young Kenny Hill and these receivers for Texas A&M, not to mention that great offensive line, which I think set the tone for this entire football game on that first drive. Earl said, let's bring this one out. And, you know, you said something to me that really struck me about East Carolina. Quality football team, because South Carolina's going to have one eye on Georgia. Yeah, no doubt. And Georgia was another team that was favored to win the East.
Yeah, and that game, South Carolina-Georgia, traditionally has been a game that's helped determine the SEC East race. You know, the last couple of years, certainly in college football. But, you know, going back to Texas A&M for a minute,
right.
One thing that really struck me when I watched them at practice this past Monday, there was a sense of urgency. Playing this magnitude of a game on the road against a top 10 opponent, you could feel something different. Kevin Sumlin had the attention of his guys. They wanted to make a point and a statement, and Brent, they've done it tonight.
You get an attaboy. Texas A&M practice before coming up here. 97 degrees. We watch South Carolina practice.
That's a helmet sticker?
That's a helmet sticker for Jesse Palmer tonight. A big helmet sticker. Brandon Williams doing a little let's go back the other way, and down he is. He had a little bit of a gain there after all, huh? Well, the talking season is over, as Coach Spurrier was saying.
That's right.
That was probably a lot more fun for Steve than tonight. 2nd down and 8. Looks back the other way and couldn't hang on at the 45-yard line. Malcolm Kennedy.
All right, now listen.
Yes, sir.
If South Carolina was able to get a stop right here, get the ball back to Dylan Thompson, they go down, they score a touchdown, all of a sudden, we're talking about a 10-point game. So listen to the crowd. They understand the significance of this drive. I know it seems like it's been a blowout all game long. Believe it or not, South Carolina has life. But this 3rd and 9, or 3rd and 8, is a huge play.
Short of it. They get the ball back. What a performance by the student body and the crowd here at Williams-Brice. This is only the 2nd punt of the night for Kaiser. And Cooper will go back deep to see if he can make a play. Kaiser is one of the best. Definitely going to be a finalist for the Ray Guy. Oh my. Let's see where it's marked. Referee makes the signal, and it's going to be spotted at the 23-yard line. He spots the official downfield and points at him, and they set up that line. It's been a good officiating crew.
Yeah, no, they've done a great job. They've been on. Week 1, strong out of the gates.
Yeah, Mr. Shaw will be happy, huh?
Yeah, I sure would.
Good grade.
School these guys up well.
Think he'd give him a raise?
I think Steve Shaw's got a lot of corn.
You know, he told me, you know, an interesting thing, because in college, the refs don't get a preseason game either.
That's right.
It's live.
That's right.
The bullets are flying.
Hey, they're like you. They just come out firing on all cylinders.
Steve, of course, has been with us all night here in the booth. Went for the first down. That big rascal tight end, Anderson. They want a flag over there. The crowd wants a personal foul tacked on. Anderson did not take the easy way out. He did not step out of bounds.
Momentum slowly starting to shift again now. Remember, there's got to be a sense of urgency now if you're Texas A&M defensively. You got to close this game out. Now all of a sudden, they're on their heels a little bit. South Carolina is starting to gash them.
Carson, the running back. From the 33. Thompson. Another excellent catch that time by Carson out of the backfield. There's some true grit here being shown by the Gamecocks right now.
And just little plays like that, Brent, fighting for extra yardage, as you said, not taking the easy way out. They can motivate and generate energy on your sideline. They can help motivate a stadium with more than 85,000 people in it, like we're seeing right now.
Thompson is thrown for 316 yards. And Burns makes the play defensively, and it was a good one. He's made a couple of fine plays here tonight for the Aggies.
Yeah, he sure has. I thought that was a great job by the wide receiver coming back to that football. And again, it's Jekyll and Hyde with this secondary tonight. They've obviously given up the long touchdowns. They've had 4 pass interference calls, but then plays like that, I think it shows promise to defensive coordinator Mark Snyder as this game, the season goes along. There is playmaking ability in this A&M secondary. It just needs to be much more consistent.
Wiles, the running back, on this 3rd and short. Thompson's going to throw it. Going to go deep. And it's intercepted. First turnover of the night. And Armani Watts, who had 2 huge hits in the first, the freshman from Forney, Texas, comes up with the pick.
But a couple times tonight that Dylan Thompson has had to stay in the pocket and throw under duress. Now, I think a lot of people, including myself, thought Steve Spurrier might just run the football on 3rd and short, keep the drive alive. They decided to take a shot against man coverage. There's the true freshman, Myles Garrett, getting in again. That football hung inside far too long. We talk about all these great true freshmen, Speedy Noyle and Myles Garrett. What about this Armani Watts at free safety? He's a guy that really benefited from that new rule this year that allowed coaches in the offseason to spend 8 hours a week with the players and drills, 2 hours which included in the film room. And they found out Armani Watts, football intelligence, he's shown that tonight.
Brandon Williams with the last snap of the 3rd quarter. We'll go to the 4th quarter with the Aggies dominating. The interception gave him the ball back, leading 45.
Football time. How's it going?
The SEC Network storms Columbia. They had a great time here. Looking forward Saturday being down in Auburn. Next week go out to Baton Rouge and see Les Miles. And that phenom running back they're talking about.
Leonard Fournette. We talked about a lot of true freshmen here tonight on Texas A&M. How about LSU?
Got some players.
Well, yeah, all over the board.
2nd and 9. Kenny Hill. Sideline incomplete. And it will be 3rd and 9. Malcolm Kennedy was the intended target. So football will continue tonight, weather permitting, on the SEC Network. At 9:15, Vanderbilt hosts Temple. SEC Network primetime football presented by AT&T. Also available live on Watch ESPN. Derek Mason, the former defensive coordinator at Stanford. He makes his debut as the coach at Vandy. 3rd down and 9. Amazing how this crowd is staying in this. Drops it off underneath. Kennedy looking for that first down. Got to cut back to try to get it. Yes! What a great run by Malcolm Kennedy. Very intelligent. He was headed out of bounds, but he thought, I haven't got the first down. Let me cut back and see what I can do.
He's got great spatial awareness. He's a guy that was the only starter returning from last season, but he is the complete package, runs tremendous routes, and as you see, awesome football IQ as well.
First down and 10. Oh, mistake on defense. And then Josh Reynolds makes him pay. Number 11, and we get word out of Nashville the weather is getting better, and they expect a 10:05 kickoff. So let me send word to Joe Tessitore and the gang. Get ready for a little fill. Jesse and I are throwing it to you, and we're out of here.
We're going to watch television.
Just kidding, Joe.
We'll watch you guys.
Just kidding. First down and 10.
And again, this is such an important drive for South Carolina defensively. If they can find a way to get the football back in the hands of Dylan Thompson. That last interception on 3rd and short potentially really did take away a lot of momentum. It could have been a 10-point game.
I just got word that Joe and the gang, they're on a bus headed for Auburn.
They bailed on us.
You know who that means? That's you.
Doing the filling?
Second down and 8. Hill has thrown for over 400 yards in his first game as a starter. Look at this. Running free is Kennedy. Malcolm. What is that, about 14 catches for Malcolm here tonight?
Brent, Lorenzo Ward, the defensive coordinator at South Carolina, told us he thought this defense was going to be a better unit than any he's ever had at South Carolina. And he thinks they have better depth, they have better overall athleticism. You just can't lose a Jadeveon Clowney and a Kelsey Quarles All-American and 2 starting cornerbacks. I mean, you've seen where that's hurt this defense tonight. Now, they could turn it around in another week and get back to being the old South Carolina defense. Who knows? But tonight,
incomplete. Mentioned Kennedy, 14 catches for 137 yards. We said to Coach Ward at the meeting, how long into that game before you turn around and say, Clowney, get your helmet? I rather imagine it was early tonight.
Brent, you just can't replace guys like that. And it's not just Jadeveon Clowney, it's Chaz Sutton. And it's Kelsey Quarles, who is an All-American. And 2 veteran cornerbacks that could play man-to-man coverage. It's hard to replace all that. I don't deny that South Carolina is athletic. The playmaking right now is a bit of a question.
Williams, Trey Williams, into the red zone. Gurley, another stop. Keeping the clock moving.
And it's a scheme shift on defense. They're playing more of a 3-4 look. They used to be more of a 4-3 defense, a 4-down lineman. So, a lot of new moving parts. Obviously, it made it a little bit different this week, getting ready for an up-tempo offense like Texas A&M. They're going to get better, and Lorenzo Ward's one of the best defensive coaches in the country.
Sliding catch at about the 2-yard line by Pope. Edward Pope came out of nowhere, and he's had an outstanding game.
Everybody at receivers had an outstanding game tonight.
My spotter, Scott, pointed out he saw Pope catching a ball.
I heard that earlier. He said you need to have him on your board.
And I didn't put him.
No, I know.
And they run it in with Williams. Trey Williams. And flag on the play. And celebrating down in the end zone. And if this stands for the first time tonight, I think we're going to have some folks heading for the exits. It's been a great crowd here tonight.
Illegal substitution on the defense. That penalty's declined. Touchdown.
$51 points. And there goes some of the folks. Disappointing night for them, but they'll be back. Spurrier is a quality coach. Troops will regroup. I'll bet there's great improvement by the time they get to Georgia in that game.
Lorenzo Ward is too good at what he does on defense. There's no doubt in my mind that happens.
Josh Lambo. Meanwhile, the Aggies are sending shockwaves. through the SEC. A stunning. Jenny, one of your records just fell. And Ryan Tannehill had actually done better.
Yeah, that's right.
As first game through. Yeah. Tannehill, though, he was a receiver, and then he switched over as a quarterback, and that's how that transition went about. So Kaylee Hartung is really hustling tonight. Kaylee, great job. You're with Kenny Hill's father, Ken Hill. Take it away.
Well, Brent, Kenny Hill has skills you can't teach. So says his father, a former Major League All-Star pitcher. He says where he can take credit for his son's ability is in the mental aspect of his game. He says from a very young age, he told him, you've got the physical tools. It's about the mental way you attack a game. So whether it was a 5A state high school championship game, a quarterback competition, or coming into Williams-Brice with 80,000 people, it all goes back to that poise Kevin Sumlin has pointed to in his young quarterback. As for the competitive spirit we've come to see in Kenny Hill, this family says it all goes back to board games in the Hill household. Monopoly is the game to win in the Hill family.
Kaylee, we are coming back. Mr. Hill is standing right there. And here comes on first down. Good run by Wilds. And let's go back to Kaylee with Kenny's father.
Now, Mr. Hill, your reaction to the performance you've seen from your son.
It's awesome. Awesome. It's been fun. He's just going out there doing his deal. Game plan, kept with the game plan, didn't turn the ball over, and that's the biggest key.
Could you not have talked him into going into baseball?
That's not over yet. We're still working on it.
You may need to discuss that with Coach Sumlin, but guys, you heard it here first. Baseball's not over yet.
No, he still loves baseball. Hopefully we can get over there next spring and play.
As you saw Kenny compete through fall camp, how do you describe that mental place he went to that you told me you taught him to go to?
Well, I just told him mentally, it's your time. You got to go out there and do the things that you're capable of doing, and he's done that.
Thank you, sir. Brent.
Good job, Kaylee. Climbing into the stands with Thompson. You just know his buttons are bursting tonight. Huh? Wow, what a performance. Dylan Thompson continues to move the Gamecocks here. Brent made a catch, and now Anderson, the tight end, comes back. Got 11 minutes to go. And yeah, one of the things I see with collegiate athletes, Jesse, and I know you've been on the field a lot, you know, they're going to lose this game in all likelihood, but not without a fight. They're going to keep on coming. They're going to keep firing away, trying to get it into the end zone. Yeah, I love that part of college.
And I think that's a reflection of the head coach, Steve Spurrier, and the coaching staff, and kind of what they instill in these players to not give up and quit. Remember, this is a team that for the last 3 years has been an 11-win or better team.
Amazing. Top
10 team. What Steve Spurrier's done here at South Carolina is remarkable. The expectation level is now through the roof. And I think the players understand that.
Has to throw it away.
And top 10 teams, they go down with a fight. They will go down swinging. You see Steve Spurrier, he's still coaching.
Absolutely.
He's out there. He's very hands-on. We had a chance to see him in practice on Tuesday, coaching his guys up. Now, he might not be the exact same he was when he was coaching me in Florida.
What did you notice was the biggest difference when you watched him?
I think he's a lot more relaxed. He's still very, very hands-on, but I don't think he's not yelling as much. I think he's delegated some of the yelling responsibilities to some of the other guys.
Second down and 10. I got to ask you a follow-up question about Coach. Play action. Thompson in trouble trying to get out of it.
Guess who? Myles Garrett, true freshman. Watch out.
Impressive youngster.
Learn his name, people. Learn his name.
Jesse, in the old days down in Gainesville, Dick Vermeil and I were there. The hat. Oh, yeah. Did he ever flip the visor in your direction?
It was probably somewhere. When you say direction, you mean vicinity?
Yeah,
as in like 15 yards diameter somewhere around me? Yeah, I had probably headsets, clipboard, play call sheet, visor. You know what, the par for the course, though. And I got to be honest, I probably deserved all of it.
He's a great coach. So much love being around him. And Kevin Sumlin, what can you say about the job that the Aggies have done here tonight on the road? Playing the team. There's a throw to the end zone by Thompson. Incomplete. Playing the team with the longest home winning streak in the country. That's right. South Carolina had won 8 18 straight home games coming into tonight. Steve Spurrier, in his entire career at college, Duke, Florida, now here, had lost only one home opener. And that was when he was up at Duke. He never lost a home opener with the Gainesville. And the last team to come in here and beat South Carolina, that would be Auburn. Auburn, the last winner. Fourth down for the Gamecocks. Trying to get the first down, and they come up short. Wilds. So the Aggies will take over. 10 minutes. You know, there's another record I want to point out. I pointed out a couple times, even to Coach Spurrier. Kevin Sumlin coming into this game was 10-2 on the road. Folks, I don't care who he was playing. That's an awesome road record. Now he's about to move to 11-2. So we said to him, Kevin, are you going to bring the Aggies and walk through the stadium? He said, no, I never do that. He said, we come in, we try to make it as close as possible to what we do at home. We go right to the hotel. We have a movie that night, have a team dinner, break things down into units. But that is a fierce road record.
In this conference? Remember 2 years ago them going into Alabama's backyard?
Tuscaloosa.
I mean no one does that.
I mean, so we're all talking about 14 playoff. So who from the SEC is going to join the Aggies?
Looking pretty good now. A lot of football to be played. But you know what's great, Brent? This is as wide open as I can remember the SEC ever being heading into a season. I think a lot of the reason why quarterback attrition, a lot of big names gone. I don't know if everybody has a guy like Kenny Hill that can just step in and replace them, though. A&M looks like they're sitting in pretty good position.
That was Kennedy was the target on that. Well, let's take a look at the schedule. And remember, Steve Spurrier needled him a little bit. So guess what's coming next? Lamar and Rice. Lamar will be up on the SEC network. Rice over on ESPN. They go to SMU. Then they get Arkansas. Then they have to go to Mississippi State. And as Jesse said, that could be tough. Ole Miss. Then the big one. They go to Tuscaloosa.
They also have to go to Auburn.
They have to go to Auburn. Yeah. So if you look at that schedule,
that's brutal.
It's tough. But the way they played tonight,
the conference schedule is brutal. You know, I think in fairness, it's an easier non-conference schedule.
They miss a tackle on Pope, and he's finally out of bounds, but not before he gets into South Carolina territory. Now, Johnny Manziel's record fell.
You know, and Brent, I think this is going to maybe come back for unsportsmanlike conduct. I think the receiver may have thrown the ball at the defender. This may come
Following
back.
the play, unsportsmanlike conduct, 18 of the offense. 15-yard penalty from the end of the run.
But he gets the passing yards, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does.
Yeah. So we're talking 483. Sorry, Johnny. Jesse was trying to get that back, you know. But how about Manziel? He made a little wager up there with Connor Shaw. They're both on the Cleveland Browns.
Yeah, that's right. They're both competing together. What was the wager?
Johnny will probably go to Vegas and have a party. Just kidding, Johnny. 464.
Wow.
And Hill 483. Those are the two marks. You know, he could, if they keep firing, he could have a 500-yard night here. See, I know what Mike Leach would do. And someone apparently, this is my offense, stop it if you can.
Yeah.
I've got no problem.
You know what? That's the way it was when I played for Spurrier at Florida. You know what? I recruit guys to come here and play for me because they want to play in this system. I'm not letting backups come in the game, start running the football if that's not what we do. You've got scholarship athletes too. Stop us if you can.
Yeah,
I totally buy into that. A lot of people don't think that shows sportsmanship, but you know, I played for Steve Spurrier. I played from the best and under the best, and that's just kind of how we were. You know, I was throwing the ball when I was a true freshman, late in fourth quarters. We were beating teams by 60+ points.
Second down and 6. 8:20 remaining. Short. The flag, of course, was Kevin Sumlin, just like Jesse pointed out. These guys are still coaching away. 52 points in Columbia.
They would give that up in maybe 3 home games, maybe 4 home games back in the day, or as early as last year.
Offside, defense 95, 5-yard penalty, repeat second down.
Speaking of Mr. Manziel, he was playing with the Cleveland Browns. There is his tweet. Good luck to his brothers, A&M. Let's get this win. Gig 'em. And Johnny, I would say that your Aggies are going to get him. And this young man was impressive in his debut. Did a couple of things that Johnny didn't. Broke his passing record here tonight, and he's going to get a W, which Johnny did not do in his opener at home against Florida.
I want to tell you something Kenny Hill told me when I met with him. Just him and I were in a film room watching film on Monday, and he looked at me and he said, I think we're going to win this game by a lot of points. And when he said that, my eyes got really big, and I looked back at him, and it wasn't cocky. It was very confident and calm. And he said, you know what? If our defense plays as well as I think they can and they surprise people, I think we're going to put up some points on offense. I think we're going to make a statement. He's very confident. He's very poised. Doesn't come across the wrong way. You just can't be more impressed with his performance tonight.
Right to the outside, keeping the clock running. And here's a little frosting. Little frosting for you Aggie fans. Johnny Football threw a touchdown pass for the Browns tonight.
Ooh, there you go.
Against the Chicago Bears.
When it rains, it pours. or when it's sunny, it's really sunny. I don't know, however you want to look at that. You know, one thing I want to do, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't give that guy right there, Jake Spavital, a ton of credit. He's the offensive coordinator. He's only 29 years old. I think he's one of the bright young minds in all of college football. Running this air raid offense, it's trending. He's coached under Dana Holgorsen, 3 different stops, coached under Gus Malzahn at Tulsa, and Brent
Williams. First down. It keeps the clock running. Of course, on a first down, we stopped briefly at the college game. Yes.
Jake Spavital is great with quarterbacks. Absolutely. He had Case Keenum at Houston. He had Brandon Whedon at Oklahoma State. Geno Smith at West Virginia. Johnny Manziel here. Now look what he's done with Kenny Hill. I've sat in the meeting room with them and watched him coach. He's just a teacher. He listens. He has these guys dialed in. You got to give Kenny Hill all the credit in the world tonight. But I think that guy right there, Jake Spavital, deserves a ton of it too. In my opinion, he's kind of on that Cliff Kingsbury rise. And a hot name that you got to kind of watch out for. It's going to be hard, I think, for Kevin Sumlin to keep him in the years to come. He's a bright dude.
Williams gets down before he goes out of bounds. And the clock continues to tick away. Al Harris Jr. making the stop.
And Jake Spavital also is an outstanding recruiter.
Absolutely.
We talked about Speedy Knoll. Kyle Allen, the true freshman quarterback, #1 in the nation last year. You know, they also have a verbal commitment from Kyler Murray, who's the #1 quarterback in the 2015 class. So Jake Spavital's a grinder. You see Kyle Allen right there. Very, very talented team. You know, the future is very bright for Texas A&M. When you look at the youth, you look at how they've recruited. We talked about the facilities.
Snapping off, still another completion for a first down. Niederhofer checks in and makes his first catch. So Sumlin using some of the reserves here in this game. We bring the clock down to 5:22. That's 500 yards tonight. 500.
Another day at the office.
Kenny Hill.
Another day at the office.
This is headline. Forget across the Southeastern Conference. This is going across the college football nation.
Yeah, no doubt. Heisman Trophy voters out there. A new name you just need to store away. This is week 1. A lot of football left to go, right? We don't need to get crazy with this, but,
exactly.
But I'll tell you what, this is the best way to say it. It's a statement, flat out.
He's playing behind, if not the best, one of the best incomplete offensive lines in the country. They've been absolutely magnificent here. Now, I see that the starters are, some of them are still. I saw Grambling out there. There were a couple of starters still out there. Grambling's a backup, number 78. But you've got an offensive line. This is the most yards ever allowed here by South Carolina. Wow. That's the most in school history. That's 656 yards.
And it's, again, at least since Steve Spurrier's been here, the defense has been the identity of these South Carolina teams. Remember, they've won games running the ball and playing defense. And things are going to have to change a little bit this year. A new formula. Defense got to get better.
And that was Brandon Williams was the ball carrier. And the other thing, besides Hill, besides the offensive line, receivers,
Yeah.
running backs.
Yep.
But let us not overlook the defense. They weren't perfect here.
No.
But they look better, would you agree, than last year?
No doubt about it. And they look deeper. And they have a pass rush. And I think one thing Texas A&M fans have been, well, I just think they've been spoiled with guys like Von Miller. Remember DeMontre Moore a couple years ago? They had some freaks coming off the edge. Well, you've got a guy number 15, Myles Garrett. It's been all over South Carolina's backfield. He's only a true freshman.
Through to the first down spot. The receiver gave it up. Came back, so it's a little bit short. The clock continues to wind, and Ihenucho makes his first catch. He's another freshman out of Westside High School in Houston. Impressive freshman.
Brett, wow. I think he's going to be the next Mike Evans. This guy right here. I know that's his first catch tonight. Ihenucho. But I think he's raw. Didn't play a lot of high school football. He was a basketball player, but he's a big guy at 6'6", 220 pounds. When he starts to figure it out, then he's another guy opposing defensive coordinators in the SEC need to have to worry about for a very long time.
So first down, and of course a brand new way to determine a national champion. The 4 best teams, no automatic qualifiers. There's the selection committee. And they'll bring out their first rankings sometime in October. And then down at Jerry's house, down in Arlington, championship game. And the Rose Bowl and the Sugar Bowl will be the semifinals this year. And then they will go to the title game. And of course, what I'm hoping is that Jerry convinces the Longhorns of Texas to come down and play the Aggies again. I hear the Aggie fans jumping up and down and say, yeah, we want them horns now.
One of the all-time great rivalries in college football.
It'll come back someday. Too many strong politicians down in Texas for it not to come back.
But isn't this a great time? Brett, isn't this exciting with the college football playoff era? Unprecedented. Help give us more clarity on a defined national champion and moving away from the computers, which so many of us didn't really understand, in the BCS formula and the human element. A 13-member selection committee looking at conference championships and strength of schedule, common opponents, head-to-heads. And tell you what, you thought your New Year's Eve was good before. New Year's Eve and New Year's Day now, my friends, is must-watch television. 3 bowl games each day, including 2 playoff games. Hello.
Here's Williams. And the Aggies are definitely trying to run on another one. And fellas got to watch their tempers in situations like that. This officiating crew jumping, watching some of the trash talk that's going on in a situation like that, making sure that nothing gets out of hand. But really, Austin and the crew have done a terrific job here tonight.
Sure have.
And we get ready to pack it up and head down to Auburn and watch the defenders. How long do you think Nick Marshall will be over there on the side? Will he stay close to coach with his helmet on?
I've kind of got a feeling. I've seen Jeremy Johnson play before. He's the sophomore that's going to get the start. He's unbelievable. So if they're rolling with Jeremy Johnson, he could stay in for a while. But I do think this, Brent, it's a much different Arkansas team than they saw a year ago. Year 2 under Brett Bielema, they're bigger on offense, line, tight end, receiver.
This is an interesting situation here for Coach on a 4th down. Remember, Texas A&M and South Carolina will play every year. That's a designated rivalry. Okay. Now, Kevin Sumlin and the boys might want to just take the air out of it here and let South Carolina have it for maybe the final snap. Let's see what Kenny. You know what the players want to do. The players want to stick it in the end zone. 4th down and 1. Yeah, someone put it right on the ground. They ran it short of the end zone. Class call by Sumlin. And a great coaching and recruiting job by that man right there. An 18-game home winning streak comes to an end. The Aggies gigged them. No doubt about it. Great performance by Kenny Hill. His first game as a starter. That offensive line paved the way. Obuehi, Harrison, Matthews, Cheek, Ifedi. The three running backs, Brandon Williams, Trey Carson. And by halftime, Hill had hit 9 different receivers in this game, and I can think of it for sure a 10th one. And I had Ucho